I think I'm doing it now. Yeah, live.
Rock and roll.
I have to do it manually. So there we go.
All right. We live?
It's probably under extreme strain because it's election night.
Yeah, we are live.
We are
Nice.
live.
Good evening, the early birds who are straight in the chat. 13. Good evening, everyone.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th of July to the American viewers that we will have some. And just to announce to everyone, there'll be like 2-3 of us today just reacting on the chat and what's going on. I think they got the early bird poll results coming at 10 o'clock, dead at 10. So I'm not too sure what we're going to show tonight, chaps. Yeah, what do you think? We got Sky, we got GB News, we stay away from the BBC. Yeah, let's stay away from the BBC completely.
Well, I mean, I've personally not got a feed for the BBC at the moment. I didn't really see the utility in getting the feed for the BBC. I can see it for the norm analysis, but I'm going to be honest here. I don't have a TV license. I've never had a TV license. I've never had the TV, so that's on someone else. If they want to bring that in, I have no ties to the BBC.
Okay. No, I can't get to the YouTube chat for some reason. YouTube is being very recalcitrant with me. My
YouTube chat's been fucking dodgy the past week or two.
So how are we feeling, bros? Are we all pumped for 0 seats?
Well, I mean, I don't think 0 seats going to happen for the Tories. Some people on Twitter earlier were saying that they think the Tories are still going to win, but I mean,
are we pumped for 0 seats then?
That's even further down the line. I mean, so I went out this morning. I went out in Great Yarmouth, which I think is a seat that Reform is supposed to win. And we went out and we were doing the sort of very tail end of canvassing things, where basically they just go around everyone they've got already registered interest, and they just see if they're voting. So it's basically like knock on the door, see if they're voting that. It seemed to be a pretty good response. There was lots of Reform signs up, even places that we were not knocking at and stuff. There was quite a lot of Reform signs up. Rupert Lowe, who's standing in Great Yarmouth constituency, has got a really decent Twitter following and a decent Twitter page that he runs quite well. So I think they've run their campaign well there, and I think that they're probably going to win that seat. So that's just from a local perspective. Yeah. It's been pretty entertaining day, just kind of seeing that sort of shit going on, really.
I think the one thing we're going to find with Reform, you're going to get well contested seats and some poorly contested seats that if they'd have actually, had that infrastructure behind it of experience, they could have done far better this time around. But we'll see what happens.
It was a very quick election, wasn't it? They didn't have the money, they didn't have the resources, they didn't have the time, they didn't have anywhere near, like we were saying earlier, like all these other parties, they've got years and years of a party machine built up for doing this stuff. And then Reform didn't really have jack shit of that. Yeah. So, they fucking... put the browser on dark mode. How do I put the browser on dark mode, lads? I'm using Brave. Brave, I'm not using Chrome.
Then you go to settings... Wait, hang on.
I'll find it. If it's just in settings, I'll find it. No problem.
So did anyone catch the propaganda, the advertising in the lead up? We've been browsing.
Oh yeah, I've seen all the adverts, all the fucking cringe, mate. All of the cringe. I mean, pretty much the only thing that hasn't been cringe advertising wise. Tell me what you think of this, boys, whether you agree or not. I think personally, the only thing that hasn't been cringe was the Nigel sitting on the bench. And some of the TikToks people were making of Nigel and stuff, which were just pure hilarious. But other than that, I think pretty much everything else was cringe. And even the Rishi Sunak laying on the pillow thing, which was not a bad way to put people off or something, but also it was still cringe.
I mean, it was good. Sorry, go on, Welshie.
No, go on, Chris.
So, I mean, I found it really interesting. I just did a show sort of just going through all the sort of day before propaganda. And I found it very, very interesting because it was overwhelmingly negative. There were very, very few positive messages. So Reform had that one where like Nigel's walking around the countryside with his doggo, and and that was quite heartwarming. And Labour had one that was like change, like but like
Yeah, that was awful.
like sort of all upbeat and like people riding bicycles and like soy brothers in arms, like sort of embracing the soy change and everyone being like change. But everything else, without exception, has been doom. Like if you don't vote for us, it'll be fucking doom. Which I think is very much a sign of the times, man. I mean, like, is anyone feeling confident in the UK at the moment? I mean, I'm so incredibly confident. I literally, it's just oozing out of me, mate. Right? Like, things could not be better in this country. Even if they just
you could say things can only get better. It's kind of like a rerun of.
If stagnant wages is a good thing, then I suppose and everything else is bad, But I suppose if stagnant
we're just going to fucking
wages
leave the country. This is what's going to happen. Anyone smart's going to leave the country. You're going to experience the worst brain drain ever. I mean, I don't really know like where people are going to go, but you are probably going to see people go to much more radical places. People probably see people going to El Salvador and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who are smart and have money, and they'll be like, well, El Salvador just fucking puts their criminals in prison instead of just like letting them out to, rape people and stuff.
And you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin in El Salvador.
That's forward-thinking stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, we literally could do a whole live stream on El Salvador. It is crazy what's going on down there. He imprisons how many people? Is this 70,000 or something? It was a huge number.
It's a ridiculous amount. Have you seen the photos of all the gang members and that sitting all chained up and stuff?
Their fatal mistake was to tattoo the fact that they were criminals on their faces. I mean, small. I mean, I can understand how they could make the error, but honestly, how bad must El Salvador have been, right? That you don't even have to hide being a criminal. You just like tattoo it on your face. Be like, yeah, I'm a criminal.
Yeah, but dude, the worst, most ridiculous thing is that you could literally have whatever tattooed on your face here. You could have "I'm a fucking paedophile" tattooed on your face. You could have gang tattoos here in the UK, and NGO lawyers would still say, "Oh, well, he's actually a nice guy. You can't judge a book by its cover."
Yeah.
You can't judge a gang member by their face tats.
Look, who hasn't gone out on the piss one night? Sorry, what you go about?
What a fucking... It's like The Hangover 3. Wake up with a gang tattoo, chained up in an El Salvador prison.
Johnny went out drinking last night, but what he doesn't know is that he joined MS-13. What's up, Vato? You're part of the gang now. Why am I here? Watch this.
Fun's over, putas. You're in the chain gang now. Yeah, I'm probably misrepresenting the people of El Salvador as Mexicans there in that impression, but yeah, I think we've got to you got to do some radical shit, haven't you? Because like earlier, like Willsy's on his stream and he's in Clacton. He's like talking to the kids and things like that and explaining like liberal parliamentary democracy to them and things. And you sort of realize how fucking ridiculous it all is at a certain point. And then I think like we're sort of getting to the point where more and more people are going to realize how ridiculous it is and how even from like maybe if it was working right, it'd be a bit better. But it's just fucked by this stage. You need radical solutions to some of the fucking problems that are going on, don't you? Really?
Look, mate, you can't do anything radical, right? Like one of the things about being a government in Western democracy is you can't do anything radical at all because it stinks of fascism. Unless, of course, you want to like lock everyone in their houses for 2 years. I mean, that's fine. Yeah. Right? Or start a war with Russia. That's also fine. But nothing. Look, we've tried everything other than the things that would fix the problems that we have. Okay,
and we'll keep trying everything other than the things that will fix the problems.
Exactly.
And that's the status quo. We must keep trying everything that will fix anything but the problems.
But we tried a lot of things. I mean, none of them are going to fucking help. But we did try them. No one can say that we didn't assiduously pursue trying all the things except the things that would actually fix the problem.
The funny thing is, though, like Labour haven't even talked about any policies for like fixing the problems or any of that dumb shit. Yeah, like they sorry guys, I can't actually look at it with dark mode. I'm gonna have to change it back. I've got fucking the problem with my eyes, which means that I see double if I use dark mode. Anyway, sorry, I can't remember what we were just talking about. I can't see anything on the screen.
Well, let me just jump in quickly. Good evening, everyone in the chat. We've got usual faces in there. Steve, Sue, Leo. Good evening. Lodger, Blunt, Jimmy. If I forget anyone, sorry. It's just going through the chat. Yeah, can we play the see what they're talking about now? Should we see what the? I just see
like
Andy
some audio?
Byrne on here.
You'd like some audio, would you?
Yeah.
The largest party
let's
with
audio.
307. That
Wait,
number
that's
was
coming out of the
exactly
wrong audio source.
correct. They are more and more accurate all the time.
It is a projection.
Okay.
Have you got audio?
There we go. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, it's working fine.
Well, hopeful.
Yeah, cool.
This is for us, for the Labour Party, the Labour movement. This is a really
Exit
really
poll
big moment.
imminent, boys.
Back in one parliament. People in the
I'm
country.
gonna
Oh, shit,
exit,
we're actually
bros.
behind.
Oh, I'm gonna exit.
Oh my God, I'm exiting. I booted and now I'm exiting.
Who've only ever had negativity on a night like this. They've only ever had a kind of terrible experience. You know,
A terrible
rough
experience.
times that they've been
They're just
introduced
talking
to
about
politics.
parliamentary
Tonight,
democracy as a
for
whole.
them, could be
Alex,
their
have you got the Vuda meme?
best, most
You want me to
uplifting
send it
night.
to you?
I hope so, but we'll see.
Have I got the what?
The Vuda meme.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very
Send it to me.
excited.
I can see that.
And I, when I wasn't a political journalist on television, I would sit and watch exit polls, and I would
Alex,
watch it all night. So
Yeah.
it's
I am
blipping a little bit.
so
The
excited about
feed. I
this.
don't
The
know if
exit
you can
poll
shut
is
a couple
the
of things
moment
down.
where the
and
die
just-
is cast, and
that'll
from
make it
that
better.
the story of the night
Yeah.
unfolds, and it's
It's
the
like
most
England playing against Slovakia.
thrilling,
isn't it? And the last,
exhilarating.
90
If
seconds.
there's
I
anything
think,
you can
yeah.
do, don't worry about
It's
it
a
if you
national
can't.
moment,
It's
solely
fine
until
now.
Yeah,
you
I'm just
have to do
pausing
it at
any
an
other
exact
live
time
streams
and an
I've got
exact
running. I'll have to
place,
just
and we
read
get to
straight
share it with all our
line.
neighbours.
an-
And no
But
one
something
knows.
like this really does happen, and all these WhatsApp groups around the country.
I'm going to get rid of
they're
the
going
unheard
mad,
one because that's
you know,
just
talking
some
about this quiz. and
quiz.
that, the other.
guys, Trevor. Taking out Andy's point, we don't know if
They're
there's
having a go
gonna
with
be a
social
change in
media
government.
again.
If there is,
The big social
There's like a load of
media.
boomers on GB News
Well,
having a
voted in the
fucking
election
dinner party thing,
where
and
there's
Patrick
been
Christie's there looking like a
changes of this
complete
kind.
cheese
So
lord.
it's momentous.
Oh,
It is momentous.
God.
Really,
Hang on,
thank
look.
you so much,
Going
but you've
to
got
get
my
in.
mum and
Let me
Sarah.
present.
Doesn't
Yeah,
get
well,
Okay.
Because I thought
That's
you would
what
know
we
by
care
now.
about.
Deploy the
No one
quadruple
does.
lock.
BBC brought the bit of paper.
Deploy the quintuple
Wait.
lock.
What happened to the feed? Alex,
I'm just going to share you another one. I'm just going to
Yep.
share you another one. GB News.
Okay, coming up. There we go. Add to stage.
We'll be
Hopefully they'll go
live
back
with
to
all
the
key
boomers in a
points
second.
throughout the night, including with each of the party leaders. Will they all win their
I'll just
seat?
volume that down. Yeah, the
Do not miss
there they go. They're having like some election night party.
uninterrupted right across the UK and of course right here in our election.
There he is.
That's right.
Such a melt.
Because the most exciting night in London election history starts.
Turn it up.
Look, the boomer party. Quintuple lock.
That's going to be funny. The feed's working.
There ain't no party like a boomer party, is there? Let's face it.
Yeah.
They're drinking baby sham and partying like it's 1973.
See, us streamers, we're too cool to go to parties like that, mate.
Yeah.
Right? Instead, we're at home.
Yeah.
Putting in the hard graft, streaming to entertain the chat. Are you psyched, chat? Woo! Nothing's gonna change.
Woo!
Fabian Revolution, boys. Woo!
Nick next says Jim's on standby in location. I fucking wish, Nick. I wish, sister.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That'd be so funny now if we had Jim out on the street somehow.
It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, that would be old school.
As long as it's not Keir Starmer's London home address.
Yeah.
Don't want any
We
more
did.
of
We
that.
used to catch fucking politicians now, didn't we? Fucking what's his name? Clive Lewis, who was in Norwich MP. I managed to catch him out before. You know, hang around Westminster in that square, and you'll fucking grab
Yeah.
a few MPs each day.
So are we watching the moment on GB News? You know, 'cause
Yeah.
it's coming up, boys.
Yeah, so are we going to start getting some polls
Yeah,
going through? When are we going to start getting some things through? Because this is
Yeah, 10
literally
o'clock.
data to model what's
Yeah,
happening
this-
across the country, and we will get those headline numbers in a moment.
And
been
historically,
speaking
they've
sense,
always
that
proved
guy.
to be pretty accurate. Not in 1992.
Well, Goodwin.
It was wrong then. It predicted a
Yeah.
hung parliament, and actually
Goodwin's
John
a bit of a
Major
snake, isn't he?
surpassed expectations. But generally, they're pretty close.
Absolutely.
Speaking
So just
sense.
take the headline numbers with a pinch of salt. As we go through the night, we'll begin to see some variation. The question is how much variation?
And in general,
Yes,
do we
that is
think
the
that
question,
there's been
Matt.
too much polling over the course of this election? There's just been a bit of criticism, hasn't there, of the MRP polling, a lot of detail, some suggestions perhaps too much.
Well, there's a lot of polling, definitely, but also polling is getting more sophisticated. And in defence of my fellow pollsters, it's got a pretty good track record.
Matt, just to interrupt, it is 10 o'clock right now, and that
Oh,
means
it's
the
10
exit
o'clock.
poll is going to be revealed. More importantly, of course, it means the polls have closed, so no one can have their say. It is done. However, it
It's
all works
over.
out tonight. And
It's
tomorrow
over.
morning,
In the
well,
words of
last
Peter Hitchens.
vote has been cast. It's now that the counting begins, of course. Gloria, in all of this, because it's been such a strong lead in the polling so far for Labour, is there an element of disappointment if it doesn't play out to be as big a win as people are expecting?
I still don't believe the scale of the Labour victory that is projected. Remember, it is 19 years since Labour last won an election. Labour doesn't win elections. I'm hopeful that tonight will be different. But remember, Keir Starmer will only be the 5th Labour leader ever to be elected.
All right, here we go.
I think we have the exit poll result now.
Oh,
Let's reveal it.
Oh, bloody hell.
Let's just run through the numbers
Oh,
very carefully
dear.
here.
Oh,
Conservatives,
God.
131 seats.
That's a
An
lot.
astonishing victory for Sir Keir Starmer,
Still a lot.
410. The
Oh,
Liberal
my
Democrats,
days. How many
huge
have
increase
Reform
for
got,
Sir Ed
man? Come
Davies'
on.
party. They're up to 61.
Oh, my God.
Reform
What?
appear to have outperformed.
Yes, come on.
They're on 13.
Yes, I said it, man.
What
What did I say earlier, Welshie?
Is to be believed. SNP
Come on.
reduced to 10 seats in Scotland. Conservatives on 130.
By
Labour
SNP.
on 410. Brandon Lewis, as a former party chairman,
Yeah, that's the one, Chris.
just have your reaction, please.
Well, I mean, it's a dreadful result. I think a lot of colleagues have been preparing for what they thought might happen tonight. This is not as bad as some of the polls outlined, but it is as bad as I think anybody would have thought could happen.
I mean, we've got-
I think it's going to be a real shock to a lot of colleagues who would have still been hoping in the last few days they could make a difference, and they are no longer going to be MPs.
That Labour majority, though, 170. So that's just below the 1997 result for Labour.
Jeff, is that a disappointment?
On the contrary, it's an incredible achievement. For
Well, it is,
Keir
but
Starmer.
there's been all this talk, hasn't there, about this is going to surpass everything.
Well, I'd be quite interested in seeing the actual percentages, because this is obviously a national poll that has then been converted into these numbers for seats. We won't really know whether those seat numbers are correct until we
No.
see the actual results coming in.
No,
But nevertheless, for a man who was threatened with the sack after the Hartlepool by-election, he's done incredibly well for the Labour Party, turned the Labour Party around and turned it into a tremendous result tonight. In order to win a simple majority, Labour had to get a bigger swing this time than we achieved in 1997, and he's gone way beyond that.
All right, you can see the exit poll now on screen showing Labour with that
The Liberal Democrats, though.
majority on
Yeah,
410
mate. What the fuck's
seats.
going on with that? Oh,
I know.
131. The Liberal Democrats appear to have eaten up a great deal.
I mean,
of
this
votes.
is
They're on
this is your
61.
exit polls. You know this.
Had
You
been
know.
predicted by some pollsters to win no seats. They are projected to win 13. The SNP, I mean, there's a
That's what I called though earlier, wasn't it? I said they were going to perform better than
Yeah.
people thought. 12 or 13 seats. So I should have fucking put a bet on that, shouldn't I? I would have made loads of money on that.
Lib Dem Conservative coalition incoming, perhaps.
How for the second time? Like Jesus Christ, Lib Dem Conservative Coalition Mark II.
Tony Blair's majority.
Yeah,
Do us a favour.
Won't the
Do
Lib
us a
Dems
fa-
just make themselves unelectable to their voters for like another fucking 8 years or something though?
Put subtitles up on the channel for me, mate.
Yeah.
We became used to calling a super majority.
Click the CC button.
It's not available. It's
Ah.
grayed out. Yeah,
Oh,
ain't available.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
better than expected night for Nigel Farage and Reform, if those numbers hold, 13. That was actually above when most of the MRPs had them at the upper range of the MRP expectations. SNP, dismal night, again, suggests Labour are dominant in Scotland. That's a big problem for the Conservatives going forward. Good night for the Lib Dems.
All right, well, that's our reaction here. What about Essex? Let's cross to our GB News election party with Patrick and Michelle. Evening, you two. Party with Patrick and Michelle. Evening, you two.
Hello, yes, indeed. Live from Essex.
The Boomer Party.
Watch Party live. I can tell you now, I'll summarise the response to that exit poll. A loud groan when we heard the word Labour landslide. I can tell you
They were all
what,
Reform
when we got to
voters,
the
mate.
Reform, the 13 seats for Reform, I heard a massive cheer. Now, what I'll do is I'll throw it open
The
to the room,
system's
en
fucked,
masse.
bruv.
Tell me everybody, and then Patrick will go to individual people for a response. How do you feel? Who is happy about that Labour landslide tonight?
Ooh.
Strong feelings there. What do you think to the Tory situation then? 131 seats. That's a loss of 245 seats, if that is to be believed. Not. Oh, he says not enough.
Yeah, not
I can tell you
enough.
now,
0
I'm hearing
seats.
Shouts of not enough. I'm hearing shouts of
Who
serve
voted
them right.
Conservative?
Okay, and I do have to ask,
Isn't it?
what about Reform then? So now apparently 13 seats. I can tell you, Paddington and everyone else at home, the energy in this room, the excitement is immense. Over to Patrick Christie's.
Yes, hello everybody. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you all for coming. GB News doing it in our own way here. So, initial reaction: Reform will have more seats according to that exit poll than the SNP, which I think is quite a nice touch, isn't it? What was you're on the end here, if that's possible, looking very glamorous, may I say? What's your reaction then? So, am I right in saying you are a Tory voter?
Yes. Oh, thanks. I did actually predict about 130 seats. Disappointing, of course, but better than expected.
Okay.
Glad that Reform have done well.
Glad that Reform's done well. How are you two doing here about Reform getting 13 seats? What are your thoughts?
Well, we're really glad that Reform have done so well. We really hoped that they would get more seats, maybe 30, but at least they've got.
I thought the golden rule
13's
was you
enough.
never give your mic away to
All right, and you, sir,
anyone.
on the end here, your views?
Well, after 4 weeks, I think they're building a fantastic base to work for the future.
Yeah, mate, everyone
Well,
wants
lots of
Reform.
support, as you would imagine, in the room here for Reform and for Nigel Farage. It'd be interesting to see, though, the number of votes, though, won't it, as well? So,
Sir, what do you think, sir? Well, I think the system's fundamentally broken. We need to fucking hang 'em and end parliamentary democracy once and for all.
It's going to go up. I'm certain of it. Absolutely delighted. I think the Tory vote underestimated. I think it'll come down. And I think the number of second places for Reform is going to be really amazing.
okay, all right. Well, I can whiz you back over now to Michelle Dewberry, who is with our GB News panel. And I think Michelle might be in the bar. Michelle.
My favourite place in the world, quite frankly, a bar. And a packed one at that. Look at this. I've established a fantastic panel for tonight. I've got former Labour advisor Matt Larser. I've got Tory peer Sean Bailey and GB News superstar Darren Grimes. Look at this. We've got enthusiastic flag waving behind the scenes. I love it. I've got to start with you though first. Your reaction.
Well, it's great news. I mean, this is the change that the country's crying out for. Keir Starmer's changed the Labour Party and now he's ready to change the country. You know, we haven't got actual votes counted yet. I never thought the Tories were going to crash below 100, so it seems to me it sort of ties to what I thought. And it's a good start for Sir Keir Prime Minister.
Sean Bailey, goodness gracious me.
Look, there's no way to sugarcoat this. This is a devastating loss. There'll be a lot of good Conservative MPs, the kind of Conservative MPs that this room actually would have supported and would have liked their politics, who will now disappear. This
Like who? What's your prediction?
I don't know. I don't know because obviously you don't know.
There's quite a few of the cabinet, certainly, isn't it?
We don't know which seats have been gone, but I've been out campaigning, speaking to Conservative MPs who are worried about the impact of Reform on their vote because they have a vote
Look
that
at the
will
bloke
speak,
with the
that will
Union
hear
Jack
that message.
flag, man.
But the important thing for me is this will change the politics of this
It's all
country.
plays to
There'll be a lot
himself.
of fringe groups
It's like a
who are
plank,
very
isn't it?
favourable of the Labour Party.
He's
who
like
will now
wiggling
use
his
this
flag
majority
in the
to
wind.
get their extreme politics at the heart of our country.
Hang on,
That is
Matt
a
Lars is
challenge for
shaking
us.
his head.
Absolutely not. What you're going to have is a mainstream Labour Party led by Keir Starmer. With a big majority, it's a party made in his own image. He's controlled the candidate selection with an iron grip. So you're going to have people who believe in his project. None of the Corbynists.
But I agree, he is made in his image, and this man is a hard socialist. And that will be a challenge for this country, a problem for this country. That is what I'm saying. So we can agree it isn't his image. But like I'd say, this is a devastating blow to conservatives.
He's many things, but he's not a hard left.
But what this says is, what the next conversation is, how far do we lurch to the right? And reform's existence will change the complexion of that conversation. It's going to be interesting.
Darren Grimes.
Good, Michelle, good. The Conservative Party, the message that I was hearing in the so-called Red Wall was one of betrayal, abject betrayal by a party that we overwhelmingly put our trust in 2019, and he has let us down. So you deserve, I'm afraid to say, absolutely everything that you're getting tonight. And I would like to see, you know, I think I'm going to do 13 shots at the bar as soon as I get off.
13 shots. I think that was an offer there of some free drinks. I'm definitely going to take him up on it. I can tell you now, when he was just talking, there was a lot of cheering over in the side of the party there, nodding of the heads here. There is a real strength of feeling in this room tonight. But for now, back over to you in the studio.
Right, thanks you two. Looks like a lot of fun down there as people digest what's going on. So that exit poll is crucial, of course, but what makes up all of those figures? How do we crunch all of that? Well, let's find out from our deputy political editor.
Well, boys, this always
Salvador,
changes
who's in the
throughout the
data
night,
centre
doesn't
for
it?
us.
Thanks, Stephen. Yes, we're here in the data centre. Not just me, but also Martin Baxter for Electoral Calculus, who's been crunching some of these numbers for us. Martin,
Let's see what Sky say. Let's see what Sky say about reform.
All right, yeah. See what the Sky take is. See if they're.
It's happy.
Oh, I've remembered how to share the tabs without closing them first as well.
Okay,
Labour
no problem.
landslide.
Turn on the sound.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to fucking figure out where I'd muted
Well,
it.
look, I think, first of all, the mistake that we must avoid making as Conservatives is to blame the electorate. You know, the electorate is always right in its decisions, and we've got to respect the scale of this likely defeat and then learn from it. It's going to take some time to come back from this. I was a candidate in '97, and I know what it feels like to taste bitter defeat. I think the time for recrimination is not now. I think a lot needs to be looked at in terms of the cumulative build-up of events that led to this whole scale.
Hang on. Election counters look like that?
Of the Conservatives. I think it would be a mistake for people in my party to jump to a conclusion that somehow allying with reform would be the way forward. It seems to me that the Conservative Party has got to rebuild the coalition of support that it painstakingly created in 2010 and then renewed in 2019 in order to stand a chance of forming a government.
How reliable do we think these exit polls are, boys? Do you think they're totally rigged? What do you think?
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, just yeah, Welshie, just fucking yeah.
So allegedly, sorry, go on, Welshie. Well, allegedly
they're normally very reliable to what the end result is.
So it's totally rigged then.
Well,
because I never got exit polled. There's no one standing down at my area, and everyone was going voting reform.
Yeah, but mate, you're not a representative sample.
You're a
weirdo.
They only take the rigged fucking sample, mate. This is it.
Yeah.
Have 410 letters. Really? Who's going out and voting Labour? Really? Is it just a Muslim vote? They just got massive Muslim voting bloc that's voting Labour or something now.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
have we really got that many fucking Muslims in the country now that they've actually got a voting bloc that's able to just do that? Like, is that at least the SNP?
I thought they'd all be voting for Galloway, to be honest.
Well, I mean, we don't know if Galloway won this seat because 25 others potentially polled as winning their seats, which is a lot of independents to win seats, isn't it?
Yeah, let me see if I can.
In fact, that's a really good sign, boys. Should we have a little look into the mechanics of that?
I got some lads standing on some stone at Clacton passing their.
Oh, you want me to show that bit from Willsy's stream? How the kids love reform.
Was it Willsy doing the interview? I didn't
That was off
notice.
Willsy's stream. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, man. Willsy's been crushing it recently. He did that interview with
Bridgen.
Yeah, with Bridgen. Yeah, he's been crushing it.
Where is
What a screenshot you got there?
which screenshot?
You're late.
With the if only you knew how bad things really are thing on that.
Yeah, I can't
Is
read
that
it.
what you mean? My camera ran out of battery. My GoPro's not charging properly.
Is that a turkey in the corner? What's in the corner? My eyes are so shit these days.
What? I'll show you. Look, it's.
Oh right, it's a Guinness. I thought a Guinness was
It's
a
Murph.
turkey.
That SDP candidate in Kettering. He's a right spurg, mate. He's so funny. If you look on his on his Twitter account, Matthew Murphy, Murph_SDP. I reposted some of his pictures earlier. Like I said, like spurg politics, because it's just spurg politics, mate.
SDP.
He's fucking funny, mate. He was on a Twitter space or something the other night. Let's have a little fucking. Let me just share the.
Okay, so I got a breakdown of the figures from Guardian.
Right.
So Conservatives 131, Labor 410, Libs 61, SNP 10, Reform 13, Plaid Cymru 4, and Greens 2. So according to this, Galloway isn't going to even win his own seat. I don't know how likely that is, but that's
I'll
what
have a look now on Twitter. I'll tell you what's funny is the Greens got 2. It just shows, doesn't it? It just really shows that the working class,
off the nuts.
the vast majority of the people are just, Let me have a look on George then. What a Scott?
So with regards to general elections, between like 1918 and 2019, So 1918 was when they passed that act in Parliament that basically gave loads of people the ability to vote, and women and everything, wasn't it? So since then, there was a bit of a vote share, about 15% for independents initially. That then dropped to like fuck all with Tory or Labour and Conservative Party dominance for the vast majority of the time. In 2015, you saw a vote share for independents go up to about 20%. Now, I don't know what the vote share is for independents now from sort of 125 seats, because obviously it's hard to tell, isn't it, with the vote against vote share. But I'm thinking they probably got quite a high percentage this year of independents compared to in the past.
Sorry.
Let me share a stream thing with you again.
I'm putting little clips in your WhatsApp, mate. I just got that Tristan Tate one.
I can share my Twitter, and then you should send them to me or at me on Twitter or something. I reposted the Tristan Tate ones where he's talking about it, like red pilling the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see this? Look at this, boys.
Okay. Let me present that. Start again, mate. I didn't see it. No one's seen it.
Eid Mubarak, Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, Mubarak. Oh, Shad.
Who the hell is
I'm sorry. That's just fucking. Fucking the Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate thing. I reposted some clips from one of those live streams. I have no idea what that is. Why does Twitter make it hard to find stuff even on your own page? This is my graph for voting, basically. So everyone should pay attention to this. Also, you should follow me on Twitter because I drop bangers all the time, but no one knows because I don't pay for Twitter. Basically, is how it works. That's David Clues. AI says he's 50% chance he's AI. So make of that what you will.
Yeah. What about Drunk Steve? Go back. I want to see Drunk Steve. I've seen his hat.
Drunk Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Drunk Steve. So yeah, I did a quick calculation based on the number of likes he gets, yeah, and I estimate that Steve Bray has the support of approximately 0.002% of the population, which actually, incidentally, is the same incidence of trannies in population. So we can infer from that Steve Bray is mentally a tranny. Like, that's infallible logic, isn't it?
I thought he was mentally a glowy, mate.
He's just mental. He's actually mental.
Yeah, I sent it to you on WhatsApp. I did, but would you have to get it? Should I send it to you direct?
Oh wait, can you just click like media or something on here? Can't you? Yeah, there you go. These are things I've uploaded. These were some clips from it.
Keir Starmer, who by the way
This
is a
is
piece
great.
of shit.
This is Tristan Tate on Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer, who by the way is a piece of shit, and I'm going to go into why he's a piece of shit in a minute, is named after a really great man, a really great politician. He's named after Keir something, founding member of the Labour Party. James Keir Hardie was his name. Now, James Keir Hardie was actually a God-fearing, good, honest British man who loved his country. And I'm going to explain what Keir Hardie did that was so revolutionary and so fucking awesome. The establishment ran England. The establishment. The lords, the Gentiles, the fancy people in their top hats and shit. James Keir Hardie comes along, and he gets voted into the House of Parliament. He is the first ever Labour member of Parliament in England. And Labour back then was fucking awesome. He went to the Parliament House, the House of Parliament, and when everyone was wearing their coattails and their top hats, in a working man's clothes. He went in a miner's clothes and a farmer's clothes, and it was a national disgrace. And all these people were just like, what the hell is this man doing? He's disgracing the Houses of Parliament by going dressed as a working man. And he said, no. Here's what you don't understand. I've been sent here by the working man. I've been sent here to represent the rights of the working people in England, and we are the Labour Party, and me and all my colleagues are working men. You know what? Keir Starmer never shuts the fuck up about what his dad did. Look it up. My dad was a tool maker. My dad was a tool maker. Well, he sure made one big fucking tool when he made you, Keir Starmer. And he won't shut up about what fucking job his dad did, because Keir Starmer isn't a Labour guy. He isn't a guy who's ever worked. He doesn't represent the working British public. He's a cocksucker who's been sucking from the teat of the municipality his whole fucking life. He was the head of the Crown Prosecution Service when they declined to prosecute Jimmy Savile, the notorious pedophile. No, there's not enough evidence here. Oh, there's enough evidence to put me in jail because someone said 12 years ago something happened. Oh, you put me in jail, won't you, Keir Starmer? But, Jimmy Savile, who raped everybody all the time, boys and girls. There's not enough evidence to put him in jail. You, sir, are a piece of shit, and you do not represent the actual people of Britain.
I thought that was a fucking funny rant, man. The thing is, right, there's thousands, like tens of thousands, millions of young men watching these kids, like boys and that. And they're getting red pilled on this stuff, right? Now, he talks about that. He talks about the Uni Party.
Rishi's pro-Ukraine, pro-Israel war, so he's the same as Keir. COVID-19 policies, support of COVID-19 vaccination, so he's the same as Keir. During the COVID pandemic, Sunak's startup fund invested $2 million in companies linked to his wife, who's corrupt.
Yep.
Sunak and associates, including his Treasury Secretary, invested in startups that benefited from his future funding, suggesting a conflict of interest and unethical behavior. So they agree on everything that's important. Well, deep state bureaucracy, and Sunak's just stealing.
And this is the crazy thing. Well, I don't know if you heard what I was saying about the Labour Party and how they first started and how good they were at the very beginning. Tony Blair fucked that all up. However, both major political parties in the UK are, yes, they are essentially the same. One center left, one center right. They argue over stupid things like ultra low emissions cameras, but there's actually no difference between the two political parties. They both have the same major problems, despite their tiny little differences. So, yeah, it's a uni-party.
The deep bureaucracy of most of these democratic nations are uni-party now. And the UK is a satellite state of the American empire.
Exactly.
And that's uni-partied.
Yep.
So the UK is uni-partied. And we now have this maverick known as Nigel Farage that you seem to believe in. So,
see, correct me if I'm wrong, but what's going to happen in 5 years' time when we've got an election and these kids are like absolutely based and red-pilled because they know what the uni party is? You got people who are 40, 50 years old who have no idea like how that shit works. I've just got to say as well, boys, I'm putting together an outfit.
Guys, I have some up-to-date on-the-ground information. I just got a call from Wilsey, who's in Clacton.
Right. What we got?
So he reckons that Farage has definitely clinched. Clacton. He's
Oh yeah, of course he is. I told
forecasting-
Wilsey weeks ago he's going to get Clacton.
Yeah. So he reckons that Reform's going to get between 40 and 60% of the entire vote, which is pretty fucking epic if true.
Yeah,
And-
I reckon it's going to be higher, mate. Definitely, yeah.
And-
Maybe not 60, but
and it'll make watching parliamentary question time finally fun.
yeah,
'Cause, man,
that's what we're
used to
looking forward to, mate.
I used to love watching Johnson and Corbyn go at it, mate. That was freaking entertaining. Can you imagine Farage versus someone? But Farage won't be leader of the opposition, unfortunately. It'll be like, well, who will it be? They'll have to dump Sunak, right? Okay, let's do some speculation.
Okay, cry on who's going to be the fucking next
So
Tory
if
leader.
the Conservatives and the Lib Dems combine to be the opposition, right? Which I think it would conform to the policy of cordon sanitaire, where they keep the right wingers out. You know,
Is that my mic, boys?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that is your mic, mate. Yeah. So who would they pick? Maybe Kemi Badenoch.
This is what I was just going to say as a joke a second ago.
No, well, look. I mean, Academic Agent was covering this. You're still humming on the mic, was she?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Academic Agent was saying that the Conservatives are going to go away from this, and the conclusion they're going to draw is that they weren't black and gay enough.
Yeah.
Right. Which means they'll be like, oh, you know, we need to be more like Labor, which and Labor, unironically, is all sort of soy latte whites at the time.
Yeah.
This is such a freaking clown world, right? Like the party that calls everybody else racist, right, is full of whites at the top, and the Conservatives that are supposedly the right wing are like, oh mate, we need to be even more black and gay. Like, dude, what the hell, man? So
Yeah,
freaking weird.
funny enough, I mean, it's funny you should say Kemi Badenoch, because I was going to just say off the cuff that would have been because for all the reasons you listed, like some people were saying, like, is it Tom Tugendhat was going to be? It was again, who the fuck is he really?
Tugendhat is the representative, the sort of global elite representative. So he was at, I don't know if he was at the last Bilderberg, but he was at the Bilderberg before that. Okay, right. So he's a made man. He's one of the proper elite. You don't get an invite to freaking Bilderberg, mate, unless you've buttered some crumpets. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but generally speaking, from what I've seen, they generally like to have sort of their power like one down and to the left. So they'll have somebody in the cabinet, but not necessarily the leader. I mean, there are exceptions, like Jacinda Ardern would be an exception. Rutte from Holland is also an exception. He's going to be the new leader of NATO. But it might be that they only try and put someone in the top position if they have a rambunctious cabinet. If you have a sort of relatively sedated government already, you know, they're slipping Xanax into their milky teas and they're all fucking like, you know, just half passed out, then it might be fine just to have. I mean, what's Tugendhat's speciality? Is he going to be like defense minister or, you know, minister of glow ops or?
Well, this is what I mean. Yeah, I don't really know what he's not like a public enough. Then again, Sunak sort of came from nowhere a little bit in a way, didn't he? In terms of, it's not like he was like the most popular. He was just brown enough, probably, wasn't he?
Yeah, and you know, he had experience, you know, with sort of the banking sector and running Unisys, or his father ran Unisys. So I mean, yeah.
What about the train wreck that is Penny Mordaunt? How would she? You know, she's known, isn't she? You know, she's got profile.
So I'm just looking up Tugendhat now, right? So he's ex-military, ex-intelligence, possibly SAS. So he would be a good fit for Shadow Defense Minister. He would absolutely continue the war in Ukraine. Obviously, I mean, the thing is, if Labor has a majority that high, they're not going to really need an opposition at all, mate. Like, you know, they're just going to be like, you know, we're reforming this bitch and, you know, change. And if you don't like it, Hey guys, you know what would solve all the problems that we created? Digital ID. Digital. Come on, man. It would solve so many problems, right?
The worse that they make it, realistically, like you say, they've got such a big majority that it's all academic, isn't it? But the worse that they make it, I guess, the more likely it is to push people towards, especially if there's a very high vote share for reform, and then people don't feel heard. It's going to push people into being more politically active in various ways.
Well,
so I
this
don't
was
think
my
it's, the
this
end
was
of
my
it.
suspicion, actually, that reform would be a really, really good way to make people feel like they have a voice, which is then ignored.
Yes,
right?
this is what I'm saying. So this was my whole plan, Chris. So all these low IQ fucking retards on the dissident right who just want to sit there and bum trannies because they're disgusting degenerates, what they actually should be doing is getting everyone on board the reform train, so everyone get their fucking hopes up and then get let down and then get fucking radicalized, because that's what we should be doing. People need to be a little bit smarter about the way they go about things. Instead of moaning, be like, don't vote, you're legitimizing the system. Dude, if they got 3 votes, they would still put someone in parliament and keep the whole show going. They're not just going to go, oh, better give up our power now just because we fucking didn't get enough votes. It's like, no.
Alex, I've just been informed that those comments cost you 20 social credit points. You are now no longer able to use public bathrooms. You better watch your mouth, mate, or you won't be able to use your own bathroom.
I already lost my social credit points for saying that the other night, but I don't know. I think that that was my whole take on the entire thing. You know, it's if it worked and got a lot of seats for reform, great. But also, I think it engages people with the reality of our political situation, doesn't it? Like, you know, the fact that you can't get what you want regardless of what happens, really, because of how it's set up.
Yeah, wait. Are you saying you don't want digital governance? Mate, that's very, very backward looking of you. I mean, chat, we got a Luddite here. Doesn't want government knowing every single thing about him 24/7. What you got to hide, mate? How dare you?
I'm behind 7 proxies here.
I bet you're one of those people who doesn't even think of what the government wants you to do before you take a shit or take a shower or walk out the door. Mate, that's going to have to change.
Your toilet's going to be a smart toilet soon, so we won't have to worry about like that sort of thing. You get told when you can do that when we've got a smart toilet.
So
it'll also analyse the fecal composition of your deposit to give you
a smart toilet, right? Could you traumatize it?
Right, hold it, lads. I'm just going to be make myself a cup of coffee and some toast. I'll be back in 10. I won't move it downstairs because
we'll hold the fort.
Yeah, we'll hold the fort, mate. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Make yourself some toast. It's 10 o'clock. You know, the adrenaline dump has happened. Like,
Jannies are asleep.
We're on Jannies are asleep. What do we post?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty funny. I'm looking forward to. Let's just see what sort of sieve is happening on Twitter right now. Morgoth.
I'll tell you what. I tell you, I found out one stat that was quite interesting. SMP in 2017. I think they done it at a different time to us, or was it 2019? I might have misheard it. I thought it would be the same. It'd be 2019. They had 53 seats. They got 10 this time.
Oh mate, yeah, they got done, didn't they?
We have a request in chat for more of the TV feed.
Yeah, we can throw TV feed on. We've got Sky News.
Yeah, let's see what Sly News is saying.
The level of expectation that waiting lists will be reduced to 0 by Monday, that there will be breakfast clubs all over the place by next Wednesday.
David Lamley.
That's going to be part of the issue for you, isn't it?
Well, look, Trevor, some people said that the manifesto should have many more promises. And we were very clear that it had to be fully costed. It was measured, it was balanced, it was what we were picking up on the doorstep. So 6,500 teachers dealing with antisocial behavior, economic growth and stability, absolutely center. The climate challenge and GB energy, that was the promise. Those were the first steps. And so we were very careful at making it clear to people that we actually want 10 years of renewal. I think the public understand that the country's in a mess. It's in a mess. They know this, and they know that turning that around will not happen overnight. And as to the large numbers of MPs, look, I remember the 1997 intake. It was a large intake of MPs. It was disciplined. It was coherent. It was very clear, the mission that we had at that point, and we governed for a significant period. So I think that with a large intake, we can do that again. But I should just say, of course, this is an encouraging exit poll, but a poll does not translate to votes. And I would say there are lots of marginal seats out there. And that will also be a story of tonight, I'm quite sure. And so there is a margin of error, I suspect, in those polling numbers that could go either way. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, to take it past the election result and onto governing. Sorry, it's Ruth Davidson here, David. This is going to be a centre-left government in a world where a lot of our allies seem to be moving further right. I mean, it looks like the Democrats are in trouble in the States. I know that's a patch that you know well. In terms of what we're seeing in the elections in France, in terms of some of our other European allies. How would you, as the potential future Foreign Secretary, be making sure that you're building alliances across these countries when Britain is looking as if it's going to be moving left just as everybody else takes a step right?
Well, look, there's a tide, I think, that begun in our electoral politics. It begun really after the crash.
Can we check in on Lotus Eaters and see if they're bugging out?
It does mean that you have to have an offer.
These guys are a bunch of boring copers. I want to see what stage of breakdown Lotus Eaters are at.
It's not feeds back into the. We've got some talented people. They're making great social media posts. I'm not gonna, degrade them on that or criticize them there. But in terms of their actual campaigning operation, it's abysmal, and they don't have that institutional knowledge. And what they need is someone or a group of people, incredibly talented guys. They need money, and they need to build up a huge network across the country of activists or people who are willing to donate their time, their resources, their money into building up local organizations. This is so important. I mean, let's be honest, that's how the political system works in the UK. It's not about votes, it's about votes in constituencies. So you have to have that party machine there. So I think that's where Farage will struggle. Where he won't struggle is getting media attention if he's in Parliament. And he can really criticize the Tories, and that's what he's always been fantastic at, is pushing the Tories to the right.
I'm just going to say, Calvin Robinson liked probably the most racist sounding post I've ever made on Twitter. It made me laugh because it was fucking. It wasn't a racist post. It was like rephrasing someone else's post. But I just laughed really hard when I saw I got a like on it. I looked and it was Calvin Robinson. I'd liked it.
Now, so hopefully he'll learn his lessons and he'll improve.
And we're focused entirely on England at the moment. It looks like the SNP are going to have even fewer seats than the Lib Dems.
That's so funny. Can I just chip in something on that point about the machine? Because of course I was inside that machine. It's very kind to call it a machine. Yeah, and this is no criticism of any individual, but the reality was it was just a complete amateur effort, just held together with scotch tape and baling wire. It really was a complete because they had no money. If you wanted to buy your own rosette or you wanted to have leaflets, you just had to pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
And the sort of regional organisers, God bless them, they did the absolute best they could, but they weren't professionals. Yeah, it's not a slick team that has got, as Stephen says, some sort of institutional knowledge. Yeah, none. So, yeah, of course, that will be a big mountain to have to climb.
It will come with time, though, won't it?
Hopefully.
If the exit poll seems to indicate it's a success, as it is.
Well, they're changing their governance structure, so they've already said that they're going to stop being a limited company and stop being a proper political party. But this is why they need the 5 years to build, because they actually need to vet people properly and get people who are on side in positions that mean that they're fit to rule.
And they can do it. They did it with the Brexit Party. They did it with UKIP, but they do need backers.
So let's be honest.
Sorry,
just one more point on that. Sorry.
Yeah.
The leadership of reform over the last few years. Okay, Richard Tice, he's put in a lot of money, his own money into the party. He spent a lot of time and resources keeping it together. I actually think he deserves some credit for that, to be fair to the man. I think he's made some strategic blunders, and I think you guys have witnessed that. You know, whether that's his political decisions as to how he thinks he should be campaigning, whether that's personnel issues. I think he's made a whole series of errors. And with Farage back at the helm, maybe things will change. Maybe Richard Tice and other people within the party who people don't know about, of which there are people who've been there for years, who are in UKIP, who I think, you know, probably need to go. Those people, they just have a record of failure. And to me, it's like extraordinary that they're still there. I know some of these people, I used to work with them. So I think that party needs its own kind of, I don't know, not 0 seats, but it needs its own transformation in order to professionalize.
Yo, Chris, are you there?
Labour is predicted to, of course, have incredible.
Yes, I'm here. I was just.
I just saw on Twitter, they're saying Robert Buckland just said on Sky News that the defeat shows the party shouldn't ally with Reform. Yeah, so you called it, bro.
Yep.
You called it exactly, literally, like fucking like an hour ago, or whatever. You were saying like, yeah, like they're fucking, you know, they're gonna take it as like, oh, we should have been even wetter, and and
we got to be more gay. We got to be more diverse. We need more trannies.
Who do they have a literal tranny in the party? Because
they should get one. They need a tranny on the shadow cabinet, mate. It's clearly
they need a black tranny in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
it's the only thing that's going to save the Tory party at this stage.
Oh my God, I don't know who the hell is advising them, but I think it's, as I was saying, it's the cordon sanitaire, right? You saw this with Reform, right? Like they were yeeting candidates left and right. Anyone who said anything like slightly racist, right? And then how was Reform getting most of their social media views, right? From that guy, David Atherton or whatever his name was, right? Who was posting like, you know, little dark age memes and like
that's
Bash Wave and stuff.
Jack Anderson.
Jack Anderson. Yeah.
Jack Anderson. Yeah.
He seems like a switched on lad. It was they were trying to blacken his name by putting around this article that he wrote about basically how we could have like a future Britain where
some sort of Anglo-futurism type take, wasn't it?
Yeah, and everything's perfect and everyone's like rich, and they're like, oh my God, that's so terrible. I'm like, I don't know, mate. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, that is. It's like this the Farage thing where just everything they kept smearing with kept making him look better and like, more appealing.
Yeah. I think at some point they're going to have to figure out, but this is the point of the cordon sanitaire, right? Like you're seeing it in this play out in Germany to its logical conclusion at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So the AfD is now the second largest party, right? But it's written into the German constitution that like a far right party can't take power. Okay, so you know they're spying on them. They've like banned them from like, you know, owning guns. They're like, you know, basically painting them as total extremists, right? But they're not in any way, shape, or form actually dealing with any of the underlying problems that is causing the quote unquote extremism, right? So they're trapped between this like, oh, it's insane. So the Conservatives going to be in the same position, right? Like, I mean, they have pollsters. They can't possibly not know that immigration is massively pissing everybody off, right? This is why I'm sure
they know it full well at this stage. They definitely know it at this stage. I'm just not sure how the double down works from here. It's only going to make it worse for them, isn't it? Surely it seems like the regime has gone completely tone deaf and completely lost the plot. Like,
well, okay, well this is one of the big problems with global governance by definition. Okay, right? National governments are already tricky enough, okay, because of the distance between the people at the top and the people on the ground. Okay, when you add a whole other layer on top of that is global governance or something like the EU, right? The distance between the average voter and the people actually making the decisions like widens to just insane levels, right? You think Ursula von der Leyen gives like a shit whether like farmers go broke in the Netherlands. Oh no,
well, think about how hard it was for Rome to govern Britain, for example. So like I was having this discussion with someone earlier at the pub, and I was saying essentially, you know, we could just all be flapping our arms, But at the stage, so someone in chat has said the age of political change is gone. It's pointless. We could just be flapping our arms wildly in the wind. Rome has already fallen. Our empire, or is already gone. Like the British Empire is already gone. We've lost the vast majority of the territory from that time. It's basically the equivalent of Rome being beaten back to Byzantine, isn't it? Sorry, Carthage, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like fucking. It's like we've lost like the vast majority of our power and territory and everything now. So, like Rome's already fallen, as it were. We're just beaten back to this little city state.
Yeah,
and we're also letting everyone else from around the world come here.
But at the same time, we are still pursuing policies as though we were an empire, right? And
Yes.
I think this is because the global
Illusion.
governments types imagine themselves as an empire, right? The EU thinks of itself as an empire. The WEF thinks of itself.
Bureaucracy, soft power is the equivalent to hard power, and it's clearly not.
No, it clearly isn't. It clearly, and I predict that. I mean, maybe not so much with Labour, actually.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to have a bit of a problem transitioning from the soft to the hard power, because there's a whole bunch of people in these organizations who are basically Fabians, right? And they convince themselves, look, we can get to socialism without killing a few million people, right? Like, look, this time it's going to work. In fact,
slowly, catchy monkey type social change agenda.
So chat might be interested in. By the way, you can check out my stuff on newsfist.net if you enjoy my analysis. Maybe you can stick it in the chat.
Yeah, Chris
okay. So
political.
So I have this theory about why they're all fetishizing 2030, right? Because I haven't been able to find some numerological or religious thing, right? So my theory, I've got no evidence for this, but this is my theory.
Yeah.
That what basically happened is the Fabian socialists have been around for like nearly 120 years at this point, right?
Yeah.
And I think around the turn of the century, around year 2000, because people always get a bit loony around the turn of the century. They're always like, oh my God, it's a new century. It's, new ideas. It's a new, right. Okay. I reckon a bunch of these sort of more, violent Fabians cornered the incrementalists and said, I'm starting to get the feeling that you don't believe in the revolution at all. Right. And the incrementalists say, oh, no. I still believe in social justice. I still believe in the revolution. I'm still a good socialist. Like, what do you mean? Right.
Yeah.
And the more violent guys are like, look, it's been 120 years, right? We've got to lock this thing down, right? Otherwise, you're just going to like slide back into capitalism and we'll never get the socialist revolution, right? And I have a feeling that they pinned 2030 as like the date for something in reaction to this accusation, because they clearly got such a hard on for 2030. They're just like, oh, 2030, oh, it's going to be grim, bros.
I think that could be correct. I mean, I kind of assumed it was just because like the people who put in place a load of these sort of globalist plans were like, yeah, we're going to get old and die and we need to get this shit done by like a certain stage. And 2030, I just assumed was like a nice round number that sort of coincided with around the time that they'd be able to get a lot of the shit done that they wanted to, based on sort of how long they thought it would take to make it happen. And they occasionally, break a few eggs along the way to get stuff done quicker here or there. I mean, COVID, like, there's got to be a bunch of dry runs for various bullshit in there, isn't there?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, this is the thing. By planting their flag, right, so clearly in 2030, they have made themselves quite inflexible.
Yeah.
And this is kind of coming back to bite them. And then, of course, there's the war. You can have net zero or you can have a war. You can't have both, right? You can't, right? War is a very, very high energy activity, requires a lot of energy, requires a lot of hydrocarbons, requires a lot of manufacturing.
Yeah.
Right? Unless they are stupid enough to think that they can offshore all of their military manufacturing to like India or something, right? But then if that happens, like what's to stop the Indians from like flipping and being like, oh, you just lost your arms manufacturing capability? I mean,
yeah,
I don't know, like globalists going to global, I guess. But if you just offshore all of your critical manufacturing capacity, right, to a country that may decide to take a neutral stance or something, you're going to be. So my prediction, and I'm starting to see the shuffle kind of like happen, like they might start going back on the climate change thing a bit, because they got a war. So
yeah.
And thank goodness they do as well, right? I mean, goodness me, right? Like, you know, we got to kill more white boys and send them to die in Ukraine. You know, clearly.
Instead, they had to just pick one of the few remaining places with white people to have a war. They just say they never even fucking knew what Ukraine was before they had another war there. They're just like let's just pick some random place that we launder money and have biolabs and. No, I mean that whole
and the gas pipelines. Let's not forget the gas pipelines, right?
That's who even blew that up in the end? Wasn't it just like America again?
Yeah, but
this fucking just
they only destroyed one of the Nord Stream pipelines, right? There's still another one intact, right? So they could start it up at any time. It's still full of gas, right? So if the EU made peace with Russia, they could start getting cheap Russian gas again from like I think it's Nord Stream 1, I think it's Nord Stream 2 that got like blown up, right?
Yeah.
But of course they won't do that because, you know, would you buy gas from Hitler? Like, you know,
well, we've also got gas, but if we pulled our head out of our arse and started getting it out of, say, the North Sea, with them, we could also fucking. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could have our own gas that we produce cheaply. There's just so many. It's all political will, isn't it? This is like the whole reasoning behind why we're in the shit we're in. It's all political will. It's just a case of like. Do we get enough people rolled up enough this? Like, I mean, like personally, my vision off of this reform thing is that people get politically interested. I was talking to someone earlier about they need to set up like working men's clubs. You know, like old like Labour and socialist clubs or whatever. Is that my phone?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if it's my mic.
No, I think it's Walshy. He's
is it Walshy returning? Yeah, it's his one. Yeah, old like Labour and socialist clubs. Like you basically set up things like them, but reform clubs, and you have them all over the country, and you have it as like a working man's club where you can go and have a drink, and you know, it's like subsidised pints of bitter and stuff like that. Go in there, you pay £2 for your pint and stuff. You can go in there with other like local people.
Mate, did you just say like subsidised beer? Well, I don't know, mate. That doesn't align with the health outcomes from the WHO.
I say subsidised. What I actually meant was cost price. To be honest, I just meant like cost price. But
there will be no smoking. There will be no drinking. There will be no eating of red meat.
You have a cigar lounge in
there. The cockroach souffle. It is extremely toothsome.
So Seller says, or Swift says, fucking minor consolation, Labour vote share down in every region of GB. So that's what we expected. You know, Labour have got this massive majority, but it's not like everyone's come out and voted Labour. No, hardly anyone's voted for Labour. No one wanted to vote for Labour. They've only got a majority because of our fucked up system.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, I think this is going to be so red pilling for people, mate. Honest to God, this is why I wanted as many people to vote as possible because I think it was going to red pill.
I mean, you know, it's interesting, right? Like because 0 seats has sort of happened in the sense that Labour can now essentially govern completely unopposed, right?
Yeah.
If they want to pass something and it doesn't get through, they can't blame the opposition. They can't blame the Conservatives or Reform or anyone else. Maybe
exactly.
The radical left as their sort of like whipping boy in that context. You know what I mean, right? But most of the policies, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. You know, in 5 years. I mean, but they're just going to pass a whole bunch. It's just going to be like Blair. They're just going to pass a whole bunch of stuff that can't be wound back. You know, like abolishing the House of Lords, digital ID. Central
anything can be wound back. This is the point. We need to get stuff to the point where things are on the table. Like at the moment, the set of things that are on the table, I think, are completely different to what the set of things that were on the table 3 years ago, say, were, or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
you know, like, I mean, look at the groundswell in the sort of normie nationalist movement. People going out on the 1st of June was it, and then the 27th of this month they're planning on going out for the Tommy Robinson thing. You get in. I mean, I remember a year ago, a year and a half ago, whatever, and we couldn't get 50 fucking people out for a nationalist cause in central London. I remember being there with Steve Laws and Jim and people like that, and fucking you get like 50 odd people down there. And then
well, you didn't have the power of the Zionist lobby behind you, did you?
No, that's true. Yeah, we weren't fueled by cocaine and Zionist money.
No. The counter-jihad lobby has come out in force. Now, look, I understand it, right? Like, you know, the Jewish population are very clearly concerned that there's like a bunch of too many, radical Muslims. They didn't seem to really care when it was only targeting like poor white people.
Yeah.
But now that they're in the mix, they're throwing their resources clearly behind.
Yeah, but Chris, that's because it's unsafe for Jewish people to walk the streets of London.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I guess sucks to live in Rotherham, huh?
Yeah, it's fucking wild, isn't it? Like I say, it's the wrong toes have finally got stepped on, and now obviously the lobby jumps. It's you buzzing, Welshie.
Yeah,
am I buzzing, Baz?
Yeah, it's your mic that's buzzing. Give it a shake or something, mate. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Slap it around. Right. Tell it to get back in the kitchen.
Give it. Oh,
it's back again.
Right. I'm going to pull it out and let's see what happens.
Yeah, pull it out.
I mean, look, I'm for it.
Yeah,
okay? Like, honestly, I'm glad that the Zionist lobby have finally come around to like how dangerous radical Islam is, and that they're supporting the white population. I just wish it was a bit more genuine. But fair enough. Like, at least they're.
Do you think it's going to be an on-ramp for people into like figuring out what's going on and actually becoming based? Like, because I do think it's an on-ramp because I have a lot of conversations with these people and like, I go to these things and I've got slightly different, say more radical views potentially than most of them. Most of them are civic nationalists. But sometimes I just have to sort of slap them down on certain issues because I just get fed up with people just saying the same stuff as what the lefties are saying. Basically, you're not going to get any change positionally, but do you think it's going to work as an on-ramp?
I don't know. Look, the longer the war goes on, the more red pilling will occur, and it is clearly been the plan to cleanse Palestine and redistribute its population to other countries, right? Which does put them in a bit of a bind. So for example, if they tried to resettle, say, 40,000 Palestinians in the UK, well, the Palestinians hate the English because of the Balfour Declaration, right?
Yes, this is exactly what I was saying to people this morning. Yeah,
seething hatred, right, for the English. So
for plonking a bunch of Jews in the middle of what they see as their land.
I don't know actually that the English Jewish population would be very happy with that, to be perfectly honest. It would seem like a very, very bad idea. I mean, maybe they can shunt them all to, I don't know, India or Germany but see, I mean, again, Germany, like, and look, I don't know. It seems like an unsolvable problem. I mean, look, so
how about, and hear me out, if we nuke Israel and Palestine?
Look, academic agent whose analysis I do respect.
He's blocked me on Twitter.
That Labour will actually, because of its ability to interface with the managerial elite in a way that the Conservatives don't, and this is absolutely true, right? So all the people that I've talked to in positions of like, sort of administrative power and administrative agencies, right? Yeah. Say that the problem is that all of these agencies are unbearably woke now. Like, the border force.
Mate, the long march is marched, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. So essentially, whenever the Conservatives wanted to do something, the civil service would just be like, "Oh yeah, we'll get right on that, bros," and then just don't do anything. And you saw this very clearly with Priti Patel. Who was just completely vilified in the civil service, right? Like if Priti said to do something, everyone would be like, "No, we're not doing that," right?
Did you see the civil service forum posts a couple of weeks ago where they were saying they wanted to like push Nigel Farage off a balcony and all of this sort of stuff?
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me at all.
And this was from a civil service, people who work there forum. It was,
I mean, if reform had actually won, I fully expect actually that segments of the intelligence services would just go right
stage a coup. Do you reckon they would stage a coup? Yeah.
Like, because it's the cordon sanitaire, right? Because World War II, right? We are not ever allowed to have a right-wing government because Hitler. That's basically what it comes down to. It's the most retarded, and And
Well, it's what AA calls the Boomer Truth movement and our foundational myth, effectively, isn't it? Of just like
exactly. It is the Boomer
and
Truth.
it is. It's a religion. When you talk to people of a certain age, and even within these, like I say, within the nationalist sort of this new growing nationalist movement, it's very much a civic nationalist based movement. It's very sort of Churchillian and all this. It's not. It's not in any way an ethno-nationalist sort of movement. It's not real nationalist movement, essentially.
Well, I mean, you can make the argument that at least in the UK, ethno-nationalism is impossible. It's too late. It's been done.
It's over. It's over.
But this has extended from ethno-nationalism to just nationalism. It's grown legs and just become retarded, right? Because there aren't any Nazis around there, right? They've had to invent them, and now they're just branding like what does Nazi mean in current day and age? It means someone who opposes mass migration, effectively, right?
It means anything they want it to mean at any given time. Nazis completely mean racist is a more apt to say like, what does that even mean? And then like taking apart the problems with why that's a problem or why it's seen as a problem in society, i.e., why is in-group preference seen as a problem? It's seen as a problem amongst white people. It's not seen as a problem amongst other ethnic groups. So that's why you're now seeing these ethnic voting blocks. Yeah, if you look at the fucking map of where has voted like look at the urban population centres and how they voted Labour.
This may actually be the ultimate fate of the white English, is that they will become just another racial voting bloc.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
this
right?
is yep.
You know that white supremacy has been conquered, right?
Yes, Welshie.
Of which means that there's no more than 50% white people in any given area, so they can't, be a majority.
Exactly.
And then you just have a bunch of racial voting blocks being played off against each other and divide and rule.
Democracy,
yay! Democracy, yeah, exactly.
I thought it was Big Mike on Sky News, but it's not. Okay. Let's have a little catch up on what's happening there. Can we see anything happening?
Let's see what they're saying.
Yes, the man you are talking about is the one and only, the very famous Bill Crawford, who is the election counting guru.
I'm just going to grab a quick
Gold
cup of
follows
tea,
him
boys.
wherever he goes. He's got the Midas touch when it comes to the speed of counting. He was at Sunderland, who had the crown for being the fastest to declare.
They have a competition who's the fastest. It's bollocks, isn't it?
The crown from Sunderland, and he is now in Blythe and Ashington tonight. So the prediction is that Blythe and Ashington will be the first to declare. At the prediction now is 11:15. We sort of heard 11:30 previously, but ballot counters in the north have taken this just this competition to be first as a bit of a sport. That's their sport, to make early declarations. So in 2019, Newcastle won the race to be the first to declare in the UK at 11:27, followed by Sunderland and then the old Blythe Valley constituency. They came in third. In fact, they probably would have been first had it not been for a recount. So they absolutely believe that they can do it this evening at around 11:15. So just to tell you a little bit about the history. So Sunderland, they were the winners between 1992 and 2015. That's before rivals beat them in the last two elections. That's spurred on by the wonderful Bill Crawford. I did speak to him a little earlier on. He's a bit camera shy, but his tactics, he says, are to use really enthusiastic students who get those boxes and run them in. They make it their mission.
Has Alex abandoned his post?
Get them in first. The acting returning officer told us today, though, that accuracy is going to be the key rather
I'm here, mate.
Speed.
Cool.
But I suspect that Bill can do both.
But I think
Says
Alex
that he
is,
can, and we believe it. So the prediction, again, is to be first to declare here at Ashington and Blythe. Also to say who else is in the running, obviously Sunderland.
GB News
we know that
channels.
actually Newcastle this year are saying that they're not in the race. but I hear some room.
Agog at the scale of this exit poll forecast. I'm getting texts on my phone
They're
from
counting
Tory MPs
furiously.
saying that the big heads are rolling. Quite extraordinary names could be going.
Oh,
Jeremy
big heads are
Humphrey,
rolling.
Grant Shapps, Penny Mordaunt, all these names falling. Jacob Rees-Mogg, of the biggest political earthquake, maybe a tsunami, as someone said, since Labour's win in 1997. I think we are set extraordinary next 5 years, particularly on the right of politics. If Reform do get 13 MPs, that is the bridgehead which Nigel Farage told us he wanted to get in Parliament. Yes, yesterday in that interview with GB
Big
News,
up
even
Active Patriot in the chat.
bridgehead, that fight for what is the right standing for in politics will be one of the big subplots over the next 5 years. But the main story, of course, is Labour's huge landslide and what it does with that power.
Okay, Chris. Chris, thanks very much indeed.
Can we
So
send out
Shapps is another
link?
Should we talk
prominent
about
glowy.
Tory big beasts?
Shapps is a big time glowy, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you got an analysis on Shapps?
If he gets yeeted,
right?
Wait, hang on. I'll pull up his Wikipedia. I'm sure he was he at Bilderberg, or I know he was at one of the big glowy ones. Wait, here we go.
You know that you're a fucking nerd, yeah? When in your search suggestions, like you start typing a politician's name and it just comes up straight away because you've already searched it. Like, it's fucking...
Yeah. So, okay. So he's. I mean, this is one of the other things about these sort of like glowy types is they tend to just move around, right? So he's been transport secretary. Then he was home secretary under replacing Braverman. Then
Hey,
he was.
I just want to say this, boys. He was national president of the Jewish Youth Organization, BBYO. I'm just going to leave you with that.
Right. Then he was Secretary of State for Business, Energy, Industrial Strategy, and then Energy Secretary, and then later Defense Secretary. So he's got his fingers in all the pies, mate. Is what I'm saying.
So BBYO is a Zionist youth movement. So he's a literal avowed Zionist, like, good luck, everybody. So they're saying he's going to lose his seat or he's keeping his seat?
No, they're saying he's going to lose it.
Oh, okay. Well, wow. Zionists out.
He should sue the electorate for anti-Semitism.
Let's see what the panel's saying.
What the panel's saying on here.
The Tory party, and so there should be. But what the Tory party needs to work out over the coming weeks and who the MPs are will be a really important part of this. Is it going to chase after reform or accept that reform now has a space for itself on the political spectrum? And the Conservatives are better staying where
they're obsessed with reform, mate.
And make the case for a centre-right version of conservatism rather than the reform version. All of this will transpire, but the sort of scorched earth that there's no room in Parliament for anybody other than those on the left would just alienate millions of people around the country who don't have leftist views.
I was just going to say, it's interesting because all this talk about can the Conservatives rebuild? Well, Labour have rebuilt before.
But my God, it was painful.
Yeah.
And I was elected in 2010. And obviously you think that's the low point because you've just lost power. Now, the danger for parties who have just lost is the temptation to look inwards, to have some sort of ideological purity battle.
Yeah, exactly.
We have been... I mean, it was the most miserable. It was a privilege, but the most miserable introspection. We went from bad to worse to absolutely terrible. So do not, I hope to goodness you do not go through that same journey.
But there is one crucial difference as far as I'm concerned. Whenever the Labour Party has had to rebuild, it's always rebuilt towards the centre. It's always rebuilt towards the electorate who are in the centre in this country. They're reasonable people. They want to see a reasonable government. What I don't see in the Conservative
being in the centre is being reasonable, is it? That's just it, is it? That's how it works.
Prominent people like Ken Clark.
So centrist politics is being reasonable, and everything to either side of that is not being reasonable.
Yeah, of course. If you define the centre as basically being left wing, then yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what it is.
That's what got us. That's what got us in this position.
Yeah, so retarded, isn't it? Watching people go over the same fucking ground so times and again, and just getting it so fundamentally wrong, though. Like, it's just fucking absolutely insane, man. It really is. The commentariat of the country is just fucked. The political class of the country are fucked. There's very few people who seem to actually have a grip on what's going on.
So we're going to get results from about 12 o'clock, really, realistically onwards. We're going to get results from
proper counts coming in.
They're saying the fastest one's 11:15, so I'd expect maybe when about 12.
All right, well, I'll stay around for that. I've got another stream at 12:30 on Black Pigeon Speaks.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah,
and I've got to give my voice like at least an hour's rest before I do that. And then we're going to cover the results coming in.
Nice. Are you doing an all-nighter then, Chris?
I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I think we're covering UK elections and probably the French elections as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, it should be good. Oh, there we go. Look.
I just want to say, boys, like Dan wore the wrong shirt today, and he's fucking getting green screen because he wore a green Ralph Lauren fucking shirt.
They could have given him a different shirt, couldn't they?
To be fair, I don't know if it's green or it could have been the purple. It could have been, but yeah, he's obviously just turned up and fucking not had the. Look at the memes, bro. This is good shit. This is fucking good shit.
What's with the wife jacks? I don't
know. That's the funny thing. That's what I'm saying. Is fucking
turn it up. Turn it up.
Oh yeah, I forgot we can have sound.
48. In fact, it's probably the one Conservatives to win is Boston and Skegness. They've got a 48% chance of winning that seat, and he has a 55% chance of winning. So that's going to be a very interesting seat to watch over the course of the night.
Yeah, Rupert Lowe has great Yarmouth. Mark my words.
And where do we stand with Lee Anderson?
Well, Lee Anderson, he's probably going to lose his seat to Labour, but 6 to 44. So 2% in an exit poll is a rounding error, to be honest. So that one's going to be one to watch throughout the night as the votes come in there.
Really,
the interesting thing about reform, though, is that the three certainties, only one of them's getting it. So there's going to be 12 reform MPs that nobody's ever heard of.
Yes,
Rupert Lowe's going to do well, man.
If you are one of them, and it looks like you're going to win your seat, remember to contact us at election@lotuseaters.com, and we'll try and get you on the stream to celebrate the good news of
this is so funny with Dan's head just floating around. It's
your photo
retarded.
in here with the lineup of who the reform candidates
Right,
are.
now I've worked out. It's from the Lotus Eaters.
It's the swingometer.
Yes.
Wow.
You what?
I just worked out, it's from the Lotus Eaters, sorry.
Yeah, it's Dan from the Lotus Eaters. So I like Dan. He's one of the ones that I do actually like.
For the Tories. And similarly, Labour have gone from 205 to 410. This actually generates a swing of 34
They're doing the
points.
swingometer, mate. Old school.
But if we go over and we look at some of the more interesting results, the Lib Dems basically going back to sort of 2010 numbers before they said they were going to get rid of tuition fees and then promptly didn't. So they're going back up to 61. As we saw, that's mostly in the southwest.
Which they can then fuck up
the
again.
Greens are going from 1 to 2. There was mention of them possibly getting a third seat, but it doesn't look like that's probably Caroline Noakes keeping her seat in Brighton and Hove. It's not Caroline Noakes, is it? What's her name? I don't know. Caroline something. Nobody cares. But interestingly, north of the border.
How the fuck? Yeah, the SNP got destroyed. Good. How the fuck do these people look at that, see that the Greens got 2 seats, and go, yeah, we need to move more left. Like, we need to move the Conservative Party more to the left. That's what the voters want.
Well, I mean, they're stuck in their own framing, though, right? Like this is the problem, right? They've already declared, right wing ideology, right?
It's verboten. It's off the table.
Yeah, it's verboten and as off the table, right? And this is why, as well, they're happy to use the organs of the state, the sort of the nudge units and stuff to prevent the rise of this toxic ideology, which can basically be summed up as people would like to have a country again, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know. I fully predict that the Conservatives are going to have like a big think and decide that they need to become more like the Greens or something. Oh my God, it's going to be a bloodbath, mate.
Yeah, I mean, if Conservatives they already went as hard, I don't see how they can have as many seats as they apparently have, because they went so full tilt on everyone seems to hate them. Even people who were sort of, I don't know. I just don't see who's voted for him really. Personally, I'm very confused. I think that we're going to see. I mean, like you heard on Lotus Eaters a second ago, they were talking about how close some of these things were on certain exit polls. We could see stuff change across the course of the night. if it's a couple of percent in these seats, we could see Reform get up to 17 seats maybe by the morning if things are very close, or if people have been, the polls haven't been particularly accurate. Like I say, I was an exit poll this morning when I went and voted. I went and voted about 8 o'clock this morning. Lovely sunny morning. Didn't get exit polled, and I didn't see anyone polling there. So
are there supposed to be results coming in at 1:15? I got to bounce.
Yes, it's 1 minute to apparently results are supposed to be coming in. Let me check on Sky News and just see what they're saying. They're talking about Islamophobia. What the fuck? Oh, yep, candidate elected. They're starting to come in. Yeah. Fuck, hang on.
The British people have chosen change.
Shit! Look how close that was with Reform, mate. With a new candidate.
Wow.
Boys, we've got it going. This is the start of something. Like fucking, it doesn't. They've chosen Labour. Yeah, actually, half of us fucking chose Reform.
With its proud history,
They had double what the Conservatives had.
Yes, mate. Reform are taking over. I said Reform are going to eat the Conservatives' lunch. Once they've done that, they're coming for Labour for dessert.
Fuck, mate. 52% turnout.
Yes.
Mate, that is dismal.
Yes.
Whoa.
Democracy is failing.
Oh, mate. Hey, look. You can have democracy as long as you choose from a preset menu of policies we've already decided, mate. That's what democracy is, bro.
Isn't it so mad? Like, imagine if, like, just another 8,000 people, like, fucking, could have turned out of working class type people and voted for Reform. Like, then they'd be in there. Now, it's such a small amount, really, overall, isn't it? When you think about it, that's the population of a small outlying village, like a very small village outside, like, a town.
Yeah. All right. So, listen, I got to go, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Chris, it's been good to have you in, mate. Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks, mate. Nice one, Chris.
Thanks.
I'd love to have you on again, mate. At some point, we can have a good.
Yeah, sure, man.
I'll drop a link for Chris in the chat if you
want.
Yeah,
hit me up
check
on
him out on newsfist.net. He streams on Rumble and does a lot of good political stuff.
Yeah. I do a twice weekly news show, Happening TV. Monday and Thursday, it's like, sort of like breaking news. And I also do Empire of Lies on Thursday night with Yiz the Eunuch. You can find that on her channel, or you can get all the links from newsfist.net. Have a good night, chat. Thanks for chatting. And I'll be on Black Pigeon Speaks stream as well at 12:30. So about an hour.
Yeah. I'm going to hop in a bit, mate. Yeah, cool.
All right. Nice to chat with you guys.
Cheers.
Take it, Chris.
Cheers,
Peace,
Chris.
brother.
Thanks, mate.
So what have we got more? Have we got more results coming in?
Of the Conservative Party.
So,
just looking at those numbers,
yeah.
you were
Hudson
in
and
third
Sunderland South.
place behind Reform, and you had half the vote of Reform. You've got to do something if you're not going to be wiped out as a party.
So firstly, congratulations to Bridget Phillipson on her election. Going back to your previous question about
he looks sick,
the
doesn't he?
situation with Reform, as I said, I wouldn't support Nigel Farage coming into the Conservative Party, but what I would say to people who support Reform and to candidates, and I know there's a lot of disillusionment in terms of how people feel. If, like me, you are against racism, you're against bigotry, you're against misogyny, and you think we should stand up to Putin, there's a place for you in the Conservative Party.
It's Andy Burnham here. I think what you've just said, I agree with, but surely that's what the Conservative Party has to do more.
Are you watching that cringe
the
advert?
Conservative Party had voices on the centre right.
Yeah,
do all of the things that you just said. Isn't the problem?
What do you want?
No, I've seen it, mate. I got shouted at really hard on the stream the other night when they were trying to play that because I was saying to vote for Reform, and they fucking spurred out at me big time because they're bum boys.
This is the cringiest one I've seen.
No, I've seen it already. It's ridiculous. They analysed it on AA and stuff. It's fucked. It's absolutely disturbed.
It's so cringe. It literally is a bit. It's coming to the stage where it's like trannies. It's like trannies.
They're going to wheel out trannies next.
Yeah, it's like
Look,
no.
Check this out.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Listen to this shit.
Look at this idiot in the fucking chat here before we watch this.
Yes.
They need to get in before they can repeal the Equality Act Stop thinking about governance.
They're going to have
Start
7 MPs, you delusional retard. What is wrong with
7
you?
MPs?
7 MPs going to repeal the Equality Act. How is a party with 7 MPs going to do anything?
What can I hear in the
sitting there
background?
twiddling your thumbs till 2029 and telling us that that's the only action we can take.
That's what are you playing videos? Well, this is the guy fucking having a rant at me because I fucking said vote for reform.
Actually, fuck off. I mean, seriously, I'm sick of people doing this. I'm sick of people continuously saying this to us because you.
I'm going to tweet that to him now and say 7 seats.
Fucking chat here before we watch this.
Yes.
They need to
How
get
do I
in
tweet
before
something
they can
at
repeal
someone?
the Equality
Oh, yeah.
Act.
Put it
There we
in
go.
there.
I'm going to put a picture of a gif of Farage's face.
Yeah. There's loads.
I forgot I'm just sharing this while I'm trolling people. Put the fucking TV news back on the sign.
You gotta watch the advert. It's 1:45 of pure cringe.
Oh, do you want me to actually play the reform advert?
I don't know. Do you? Should we? It's hot.
Everyone's probably seen it. It's the super cringe reform advert. It's really gay. You've probably seen it.
Like I said, we were just missing the black trans lesbian. Drag queen. I seen the transvestite conservative one. I seen that the other day. I was like, oh, this is a parody, isn't it? No. It's not a parody. There you go. Very, very conservative.
There you go. I can hear you better now.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the conservative church.
Back to Essex, the Boomer Party. The Boomer Party's still going. How pissed are the Boomers at this stage? So they got the Boomer women are pissed. Look.
He's on the telly. Get some volume. I can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
No.
It's turned up.
It's mute. Chat is the Boomer Party mute for you, chat.
The Boomer Party. Oh, I got an issue with my screen share audio. Hang on a sec. I'll have to restart it.
Okay.
Can you hear it now?
Wait, let me put it up.
No, Bobby's been teaching people here how to play darts, which has been absolutely fantastic. We've had a couple of good ones, a couple of not so good ones, haven't we? But one of the favourites so far, Bobby, has been this chap in the wonderful Union Jack waistcoat that we've got over here, and we'll come round. There we are. Brilliant. So where have you come from?
All the way from Romford.
Romford. All right. Now, what do you make of what we've seen so far? Which is what we're expecting is reform to come second in quite a lot of seats. You seem to be in favour of that.
Well, to be fair, I think the Conservatives only got themselves to blame for the way it's turned out. I've always been a Conservative voter, and I feel really sorry for Andrew Rosendale, who's the local MP for me, and I was actually hoping that he manages to stay in. But I think the senior people in the Conservative Party got a lot to answer for.
I wonder, Michelle, if we could ask people what some of the biggest, most important issues for you guys have been at this election. Is there anyone who wants
fucking
to
immigrants,
what's been the most
mate.
important thing for you?
Our kids to grow up like I did, and in a great country, but now I worry about them. I said to them, if I was to die tomorrow, I could say, I've had a great life. I feel sorry for you.
Okay, go on.
Good bloke. He's a good boomer.
Economy, and well, we're going to go with taxes and see what happens and what Labour really have.
I think the economy, taxes, and immigration.
They've had a few beers now.
I think we just need some hope.
Yeah.
I think that's really key, actually. Does anyone feel optimistic in this room? Yes? Yes, tell me why.
They got the hope back, mate.
What's been achieved?
Yes.
What can be achieved in 5 years? Getting the nation united.
So there you go. There you go. There's
Yes.
some
She's like-
optimism
she's-
in this
a-
room tonight.
appearances can be
Anyone
deceptive.
else?
She
Oh,
spoke
Yeah,
twice.
mate, yeah.
She spoke
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
sense twice.
You can't judge an MS-13 gang member by their face tattoos, you know.
Well, for her, definitely. But
No,
I don't think
yeah.
she would come out with sense.
He's the immigration bloke. I know someone with a strong Essex accent would come out against immigration.
Socialist parties. They're two socialists for me, and the only alternative
Fucking socialists,
was
mate.
reform. Oh well, I'm a Conservative voter, and I've got a good councillor, Ian Duncan Smith, and I feel a bit sorry for him. But I've had to go with my heart and vote reform, and they say, "Oh, I've had calls from the Conservative Party saying you are to blame that Labour are getting in." But to be honest, they are to blame because they've settled people with the highest tax and the highest immigration the country's seen. What choice have we got? Reform, the only option.
Yes, mate.
Well, it's interesting
Get
to hear all of
in.
that, isn't
Yes.
it? And I wonder how.
Give me old China. Oh, your mic's a bit buzzy again, Welshie.
Okay.
You were now responsible for a left-wing socialist government.
Okay. Sorry, mate.
That's all right, no worries. They're awaiting more results.
My mic broke 2 days ago, basically, and yeah, I'm gonna back up.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I wasn't convinced it was broken till today. Like it was just there was a few complaints. So I was like, oh shit. But yeah, it's obviously the mic.
That's all right.
Reform or just sitting on your hands, just staying at home, but not stealing votes from people. Reform Party is the start of a movement. The election isn't over today. This is the start
Boomer
of a
revolution!
movement. And I think that reform is the hope for the country, like that lady said.
Okay.
Hey, reform!
So can I ask you, when we're looking now at a Labour landslide, which we are expecting, we've just seen in Sunderland there, Bridget Phillipson's got in the Shadow Education Secretary. Education has been a big issue at this election, not just with private schools, but also potentially with things like gender ideology, etc., being taught in schools. Does any of that bother you at all?
Well, it does, because back when I was back in school, I wasn't part of that generation where it's been told, you know, you can be one of these 72 genders, and now I look at it and I'm quite, it bothers me a lot because I don't want my kids, if I have kids, growing up and going through that and being taught silly things.
Now, we're just going to, just follow me here because, Bobby, have you still got your darts with you, mate? There somewhere. All right, well, I'm just wondering if we might be able to get a shot of this darts board right now. And what I would like to do is just, Bobby's been teaching everyone here how to actually throw some of these darts. So, sir, could I get you to come on? And Bobby's very, very quickly going to teach you how to throw a dart. And
Okay, Alex.
maybe the number that it lands on is possibly going to be the amount of hours.
You can put another mic in, did you say, Welshie?
I will now.
Yeah.
2 secs. Okay, is this one any better?
It's a bit tinny, but it's fine. Yep.
Okay.
Following him on his rallies in Clapton, very much the heart of the UK campaign. It was, of course, the first and one of the only parts of the UK to elect a UKIP MP back in 2014 after Douglas Carswell defected from the Conservatives. That was a by-election. And if Nigel Farage does win here, it will be a huge moment for him. He has tried 7 times to become an MP. 7 times he has failed, despite the outsized influence he has had on British politics, becoming the face of Euroscepticism in Britain over the past 30 years. When I asked him yesterday what success would look like, he said this wasn't just about taking seats or taking votes from the Conservatives, it was about winning seats. It was about creating a bridgehead in Parliament. And if the exit polls are to be believed today, it looks like that might be achieved.
Okay, for now, thank you. Of course, he's not an MP yet, but the exit poll is suggesting that it would appear that Nigel Farage, as I was saying, 8th time of asking, could well be an MP as a result of the 2024 general election. Also keeping an eye on Blythe.
if you notice, they always keep on going about the 7th time or the 8th attempt.
Yeah.
And they always try and do that to belittle him. Now, I'm not a big fan of him, but the reality is he's had more influence on British politics in the last 20 years than any politician. So if you think about it, by not being an MP,
he sat out to get us out of the EU, and he did it. He's actually got something
Yeah.
done, unlike most politicians.
So by actually failing to be a UK MP and becoming an MEP, he has influenced British politics and European politics all by himself. And leftists scream and shout, "Oh, he's attempted to be an MP 7 times." Well, without being an MP, look what he actually managed to rock.
Also, it
and
just
then
shows a
change.
total lack of understanding of how things work, how you make the sausage. Do you know what I mean? So you have to do things lots and lots of times to get things done. That's just how it works. Anyone who does things and gets things done knows that you have to just do things repeatedly and over to get them done. It's obviously it just shows that someone who's like fucking got tenacity, doesn't give up, as
Well,
carries
he
on
had the
despite the whole media and everyone against him, and that it's like,
Well,
like I
exactly.
say, regardless of what you think for us personally, you've got to have respect for his political sort of achievements, really.
Well, yeah, especially if he wasn't an MP, because that's what I get on the lefties on the panels going, yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but that's all you've talked about, and basically you've talked about it because he's the person that's tried to.
Yeah,
and of course
he's moved the whole conversation, hasn't he?
The biggest story in the EU since the EU is Britain leaving.
Yeah.
Without a shadow.
Yeah,
And
of course. It's changed the politics, like you say,
and the same for British politics, and he's not even an MP.
Imagine what could happen next. Is that some?
Yeah.
Where is that? Is that Cumbria that seems to have a reform seat on their little map? I'm trying to see where the fuck is that? Is that like just above Hastings that seems to have got a Green Party? It's like the most wacky fucking places that have picked up some Green Party. I'm just looking on one of the maps at the moment, the election map things. I should bring one up, shouldn't I? Blythe and Ashington's getting announced now, is it? Hang on a sec.
Under Keir Starmer, Sir Keir Starmer as well, who we are yet to hear from, but I'm sure we will very shortly. Indeed. Oh, nice hat, madam.
Love it.
Mr. Bridgman, returning officer for the Blythe and Ashington parliamentary constituency, hereby give notice.
She does look gangster.
The total number of votes given to each candidate was as follows.
No.
Ian Lavery, Labour Party, 20,030.
Fucking hell.
Maureen
that's got to be a landslide,
the
isn't it?
Conservative Party candidate, 6,121.
They could pinch this, maybe.
Steve Leyland, the Green Party, 1,960.
Wow, look how many.
Mark Peart, Reform UK.
Come on, you'll be like 8,000.
10,856.
Yes. Mate, the Conservatives are just taking
Stephen
Reform's
Anthony
vote.
Salidas, Liberal Democrats, 1,400.
I'm really pleased for Ian.
So how have Lib Dems picked up the amount of 60-odd seats that they've supposed to picked up? 61 seats, yeah?
Yeah, and they're getting nothing.
And they're getting like fuck all. Like, what the fuck is our electoral system, dudes? Like, if you're not getting radicalized by this shit right now, then you should be. That's all I can say. It's quite remarkable, really. So Ian Lavery's... Ian Lavery's got that. Again, 53% turnout with a 9,000 majority.
This is very clearly Reform being in second place, and this could be a story of the night. This could actually be a big story going into the next election in 5 years.
Reform are the opposition already, aren't they?
No longer some party races. But
at the moment they are.
Well, potentially, if you're going to bang that drum, then you crack on. I'm not entirely sure that it will, but I think that could be interesting.
Poll for you, Ruth, if I may. And then 27% is what the exit poll was predicting for Reform, and it's bang on.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Right, okay.
But the Tories were predicted to get 10%, and they've
17.8% gain.
So the shy Tory syndrome may be a feature of this evening, but it's about whether that matters in seats where they're never going to win is a bit more irrelevant. Where it matters is in seats where it is in the balance. So if you look at kind of vote efficiency, is this shy syndrome, if that's what we're going to call it? And I'm going to start that for tonight. We'll see if it kicks off. If that happens in the seats where there maybe is only 3 or 4% in it, could we then see that Tory
What is
number
her
creep
name
up
again, Alex?
Yeah, I think.
Who? Sorry.
We've actually the Brilliant Island and her team.
The one with the
are going to
basin
be
cut, the
keeping
ugly
track
one.
of reforms.
Oh, I don't know, mate. I can't remember. I don't know all the people. I didn't see
Scottish.
it no, I don't know who it is. I don't fucking know what it is. Oh, Ed Dutton and Academic Agent are both on the Lotus Eaters stream.
He said triumphantly, and you could just tell
thank you,
that he wasn't acting, that this is his core belief. Now, that man would never go into Putin's office and talk about gay rights. You just know he wouldn't.
Count Dackler just got demonetized. So literally a week later, he's on GB News doing punditry. A week later.
We're doing this thing.
Getting demonetized is like a meal ticket now, isn't it?
They keep to their left, keep all the commies out, and then do some socially conservative stuff to get people in the middle to vote for them. The Tory version of that resulted in the Tories actually becoming the true social justice warriors, which is why the entirety of wokery has come under the Tories, because they are actually, in my view, the true believers.
I say that's a good point. You're saying that the Tories were kind of defeated by New Labour. They were overcompensating for their loss.
They went too far left
by being, overly left wing on certain social issues, with a hope that this would get them back in a way that Labour would never have dared to do. Labour would never have dared.
But also, Ed, I think that they, in a strange way, believe that stuff more. They believe it more.
Yeah, see, I think all of that is predicated on the premise that these people are, these institutional parties are not captured by globalists. And they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so I actually don't.
I mean, I take that as.
Just what I mean, That's what I mean. Like, so that'd be good if it was that, actually. But I think there's powers above them which are controlling them on that degree. I think it's a little bit suspect that Obama just randomly turns up at number 10. And then Rishi, a few weeks later, is like, oh, it's just snap election, mate.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's all sussy as
like,
fuck.
oh, okay, then. Oh, what, is this all under the guise to bring Labour in so Labour can then introduce mass socialist policies and go, we've got a mandate, we've been voted in. We're going to bring in these 15-minute cities, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's literally, they're both the same.
Here's
both
a little
controlled by the same
experiment people can run in the audience.
He's not wrong, though, is he, Welshie?
No, sadly.
I mean, that is like a large amount of it, what it comes down to. All of this sort of political talk is slightly moot in the face of, it all just being fake globalist bullshit.
Yeah, it's not good. Sorry, I'm just searching something on Twitter. Trying to find something on George Galloway.
2 seats declared, and they're both Labour so far. Well, the North East is going to be fucked, isn't it, really, realistically? I mean, how accurate do we think the exit polls are? Do we think it's going to stay fairly,
Well, I would suggest they're normally pretty accurate, to the end result. But let's be honest about it. What we're seeing here is near enough a mirror image of what we've seen in 2016, where you're getting people that maybe wouldn't have voted before that want to vote, and they want to vote for the outsider, which would have been Donald Trump, and now Reform.
Yeah,
and you're seeing that same sort of switch where people are really getting into it, where they, So, I mean, if you look at what age group is the very young age group? I think it's like pre-20 years of age, like 16 to 20.
Yeah.
In the females, they're number 2, and in the males, they're joint number 1, with Labour for support. Reform and Labour, like they're 35%, I think it is, for males in that age group, and the girls are like Reform was second.
Yeah, I did hear that somewhere, and also, I mean, there's a lot of groups that they're polling very high with. I do think that I do like that. If people actually put some fucking effort into this and try and build some stuff on the back of it, you know, like I think it could move, but it could build into some sort of big movement, and then we could just see like a massive swell of support for reform come, the next election.
Should we say I'd like to think that these maybe polls are inaccurate, but conservatively inaccurate, because it could be that way around, because you might find that like I said, Reform has taken a lot of share from the Conservative, and obviously people that maybe wouldn't have voted before.
Yeah,
which is definitely I think occurred. I know the turnout's not huge so far.
Yeah, well, you could see there, like the Conservatives went down by about 18%, Reform gained by about 17%. So it was 17%. It was about 18%, taken from the Tories, given to Reform.
Yeah, but like say for example, unless you're supporting Reform right today, and unless you're supporting Reform, there's no buzz in the other parties. So the low turnout could be like apathy from Labour and traditional Conservative supporters, right?
Yeah.
Where actually the buzz is in a certain sort of portion of the voting base, which is Reform, as it turns out at the moment.
Yeah.
And like I said, you could find out, like I said, even with a reasonably 50% turnout roughly around, that Reform could actually get some spikes where if you get a couple early now, it might follow suit. You might get it because the poll could be a little bit obscured because people don't always tell the truth.
No, and also, like I said, I didn't get
put on the
polled.
spot.
I didn't get polled. So if I didn't get polled, there's a chance that other people didn't get polled as well. That makes sense, doesn't it? So we could say that,
Well, if the BBC had anything to do with it,
completely accurate.
or Channel 4, you would have thought they'd have gone to just say areas that would suit the count they want. You just don't know.
Bear in mind, they had those new Ofcom rules, that meant like the mainstream TV and stuff was only giving like a tiny percentage of the time to other parties, and because Reform hadn't won seats at, like the last general election, they didn't get like hardly any airtime at all. So, given they got a media blackout, plus the media attacked them repeatedly, like with every kind of like smear attack you can imagine, plus the fact they only had time to get all their shit together before the election, which was called, short notice, and it was kind of designed to, scupper smaller parties. They probably saw what was happening in Europe, thought, fucking call an election before they have time to get their shit together here. And it's worked because they've got a Labour majority. And then, like they were saying on Lotus, it was like it's, probably just a globo homo agenda to get a bunch of globo homo policies passed in the next 5 years. The problem is, taking it too far, and it is over.
The last result that we saw comparing the exit poll, which are the numbers here, and again, it's just votes
I think I've
we're
just
looking at here.
timed.
Exit poll, 49% Labour. What was the actual
It says
result?
it's removed.
49.6%. Basically bang on when it comes to these things. Reform.
What's that?
The exit poll
Oh,
27%.
Yeah.
The actual result,
I didn't even see he was in it, the degenerate.
I mean, one doesn't who's counting.
Well,
But
she's
this is
talking
interesting as
rubbish
well. Look,
again.
Conservatives, and we were talking about this a second ago, weren't we, Ruth? Conservatives 10% in the exit poll, actual result 15.2. So might it be actually that the Conservatives might do a bit better than the exit poll?
Crinkle's just completely wrong. He's like silent majority. It's like, quite literally silent majority.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you why it's the silent majority, because you're getting a massive vote share and not winning seats despite that. So it's like, if you think that like democracy just being a complete farce and not working is a good thing, then you're a fucking idiot, aren't you, really, mate? Like basically.
In the result, the question is whether we see that elsewhere.
I think he's seven. I think he's 7 spikes in now, man. You know, man.
In a moment, I think.
You haven't learned by the second one.
And we're going to see what happens in each of these constituencies. But so far,
a lot of people fell for it twice.
Very good. As these things.
Imagine,
a lot of good people fell for it twice, but they didn't fall for the prick 7 times, did they?
That's not credible.
Exactly. I don't think he has, Dave. I'm doing this on my tablet, and it said it was removed, but I thought I'd just put him on a timeout. But we'll see. If
He's
he comes
timed out
back
for
in 2
300
minutes.
seconds. Yeah, it
Oh,
says
there we are,
on he's timed out for 300.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, Crinkle, is up smoking crack late at this time of night.
We're talking about longer term trends. What we see, particularly in Brexit voting areas in the north, where we saw a big change in 2019, a big change back, is Brexit won't.
Yeah, what's her name? Do you remember?
This year will be the first year in Scotland that independence isn't the prism, and Labour's going to make big gains in Scotland because of it. But I didn't get on.
She's some variety of sturdy lesbian, isn't she?
What did you say there?
I said she's some variety of sturdy lesbian. Like some sort of sturdy Claire Balding variant.
Claire Balding.
Scottish Claire Balding.
For speaking to us. Very interesting speech that you made following on from that declaration. He talked about the Prime Minister, erstwhile Prime Minister, being the king, and that has to change, and that is something that Labour is bringing here, change.
That's absolutely right. One thing that happens on elections, you get out there, you get it, hopefully...
Ian Lavery does not look like he's just won an election. He looks like he's in one of those "if only you knew how bad it really was" memes. Like he doesn't look very well this evening.
Yeah, they don't actually tell you how many people are in the constituency. So you've got to be.
Maybe they don't know though. I don't think they really know properly.
Well, they say
they know how many people are registered to vote in the constituency, don't they?
Yeah, they say the turnout's 53%.
Yeah. So
you basically you've just got to add up the 4 big numbers.
Yeah,
I know, but I wish they just put it
to ballpark it then. Okay, 36, 7, 8. So about 40,000, so about 80,000 people basically is in that constituency.
And 40,000 voted, 44,000.
Yeah.
And they're registered voters as well, aren't they?
Yeah, so it'd be like just over 80,000, 82,000 or something. That's all your registered voters. Obviously, you can only vote if you're registered, so you can only go by registered voters, I guess, in an area to go for numbers of people who could have potentially voted.
They estimate how many people are in cities by the human waste, don't they?
And food consumption. I mean, supermarkets are claiming that our population is considerably higher than what it was at last census. Last census was 67 million, they said. But they think now that there's far more people here that are not declared because of how lax the borders are.
Yeah.
Alan's comment's still on the screen, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I never knew it was on the screen. How do I get that off?
You must have just fat-fingered it on there and then it's just stayed on there all the time. So it's not important. Don't worry. Don't worry about that.
Don't know how to get it off.
With this parliament, that is the first time that's
hide current comment. Let's try that.
Pain for people. It's real every day. It doesn't happen. It's never happened before. So perhaps it's not a moment. It's just that people have been hurting financially
I don't deny
for
that.
many years.
I don't deny that. But for reform voters, it is about immigration. Michaela?
I agree with all the things that have been said because, of course, it's a mixture of reasons why the disaffection to a specific party raised. But
Big up Dave in the chat. Mary,
and
evening.
about the daily life of people, we have posed many times topics and
Where are they at on loads of seats as well?
Yeah, let's see what they're going to say.
Any more shit coming in? Just got to bring it forwards because we're like grossly behind on here. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Keying up for dinner with the missus, and then she will be up here, curled up in a ball reading and ignoring the
time and resources keeping it together.
I was sat next fantastic show in 5 years' time. We can get organised.
Is that Rumble not working there?
I'm not sure whether it's up to speed or not.
Because I think you are right. We are going to need time under Labour to build the infrastructure. But on the plus side, being under Labour is going to provide the momentum and the energy needed to get going. So look, do you want this forever? Of course you don't. You've got to get Farage to be the Prime Minister.
They're going to discredit themselves.
100%. Tabuxis.
Yeah, we did say this earlier, didn't we?
London office the other day. Sat next to two people that were quoting correct political views at each other.
I think Rumble is a bit
not just thought.
fucking.
You joining us? Don't worry
Yeah,
about
that's right.
Connor. He's consuming too much pornography. This is a man cave, Connor.
It's a labyrinth reference.
But no, every man needs a man cave just to have some peace and quiet away from your family. It's not that you don't love your family; it's just that you need a bit of time on your own to meditate and play some Total War games. Am I wrong?
I agree.
Right, I think we are now going to a break. But what I do want to read a few more comments.
I thought they were
We've
going
got
to,
a million
yeah.
comments we need to go through.
see.
Happy cursed plague doctor.
Blythe.
Oh, yeah, I see the map now.
In Sunderland. This is a dramatic development. It's quite possible to imagine the
Who's
reform
this Boris? A pound shop Boris?
constituencies in the Red Wall in the northwest and northeast. And
He is a Boris lookalike, isn't he?
Joe Johnson,
A
it's
bit.
fascinating here.
Joe
in
Johnson.
terms of the exit poll, your
No,
old
it's not his brother, is it?
1970 is too close to call at the moment. Firstly, what's your reaction to that? And secondly, do you think that the Conservative Party, with these results, with the rise of reform,
That's very
is it
scary,
facing
isn't
an
she?
existential threat here, Joe?
Well, Orpington has always been a marginal in tough Tory times. My predecessor, John Horam, hung on to it with a majority of 269 in 2001, I believe. And, you know, these are very tough Tory times, so I wouldn't be surprised if Orpington were on a knife edge.
Orpington is a
That said,
fucking
it's a
shithole,
massive
mate.
change.
Go on,
from where
Orpington.
was
Get in
in
your fucking
2010, 2015,
reform.
2017, 2019, when the Conservative candidate was getting in excess of 63.
I will say, my family is from very near to that area of southeast London, and that is a very right-wing area of the country.
Alex,
Yes,
would it be
mate.
would it be a good idea to look at the odds on the MPs? Because don't
Yeah,
bookies
do
do
look at
odds?
the Betfair odds. So I'll bring up my Betfair.
Yes.
and
So,
have a
so,
little-
so when they bring up like Orpington, where you just said then, you can bring it up and see what odds they were offering before they actually give them out. To be like a
they
bit
might
of a.
they might have closed the betting on some of this now.
But would they have the what odds would they have that available and shit like that? It'll just be quite interesting to
I'm
find
just,
out.
I'm just looking on there now. UK General Election Agency. Yeah, we can go through any constituency. So like Bromley and Biggin Hill. Oh no, fuck no, we can't see it, mate. Sorry, they're at this stage in the game. Like a lot of the bets have basically played out. I'll look on the sports book because I was looking on the exchange because there might still be politics ones running on there, but because they're counting and shit now, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's all we need though is basically what they finished on. If you
Hey,
know
how
what I
many
mean.
seats did they say Labour was going to win?
410, I think.
Really? You can get over 2 to 1. You can get 2 to 1 still on 419 seats or more for Labour. But the
right.
polls have been so accurate so far that I think that's probably. So I'll tell you what's still running. Okay. No, nothing's running, mate, with them, I'm afraid. The politics markets are closed
And there's no way of viewing what odds they were finishing at. So is there
Oh,
like...
actually, sorry. No, there's a couple of little random bits still going. So, like, there's over-unders for Conservative seats. Reform have got an over and under on 13.5 seats. 14 seats or more, you got some decent odds on that. 2-5.
Yeah.
SNP over or under 9.5 seats. I think they're probably fairly accurate, some of those polls for those areas, though.
Yeah, but there's no way of finding out the individual MPs what the odds were when the polling finished. And
No,
basically,
not now, unfortunately. Yeah,
that's a shame, because when they bring up each one, we could actually have a good idea how much of a chance that they had, and how the odds are maybe correct or incorrect.
Yeah,
Damn
that's
shame.
it.
So we're not going to know half these candidates, so we don't know any of them, really. The only one I'd know would be Steve from Speaker's Corner, Steve the Atheist.
Yeah.
He's a Reform candidate, I believe.
Is he really?
I believe so.
That's funny.
Do you want to check it?
Yeah, do you know what his constituency would have been?
I can't remember, but if you put down Steve the Atheist, put down candidate, or Steve Speaker's Corner, something will bounce up, I'm sure. Or because I know GP News print his real name, I think. I suppose when he's on there, he's had a bit of backlash. He did, because he describes Islam as Nazism. So yeah, I think he's had a bit of backlash. I don't know exactly.
No, I can't really find it at the moment. Oh, Steve Shives.
So if you put down that with Reform, see if anything comes up.
Is that his name? Do you know, chat? Southall.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it? All right, let's have a look then.
Or he might be independent, but I think he was.
That's apparently it's not. Let's have a little look. It's creating like. Where's the fucking candidates then? Ealing Southall, is that the?
I'm not 100%, but he was called Southall Steve on his. YouTube.
Steve Chilcott, that's his name, isn't it? Steve Chilcott.
Oh, okay. I don't know, mate, but
yeah, I think that is his name. So you've got so he's standing for Reform UK then in Southall, Ealing Southall.
There we go. So yeah.
And let's just go back to the Boomer Party for a second here. Let's just see what the Boomers are saying.
Really? Any particular reason why not? You were quite vocal about it. You've got a mouthful of chicken burger here. So why don't you trust
chicken burger?
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. That's live television for you, everybody. So do you trust this?
Not in the slightest. No. We went into this election right, hoping for something better for our kids. We all want to deliver something better for our kids. Keir's not that man. Keir's going to demolish the world for our kids.
All right. Okay. Now, there was a chap here who voted Labour. Come here. So, sir, there was a couple of strong views there about your mate, Keir Starmer, right? Your best pal. You know him personally, don't you? Now, I'm going to have to sit down for this one. So why do you think that everyone else in this room should trust your mate, Sir Keir Starmer? He's got a mouthful of food. And it's silence, deafening silence for Sir Keir here. Come on.
Well, why not?
Is that the best you've...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Who can 100% trust any politician?
Okay, all right.
What an idiot.
So
this is
you're
crazy.
basing it off the back.
This is so fucking
they're all
ruthless.
completely and
He
utterly
had a full
I
mouthful.
think we've been tainted by what's gone on.
You know he's coming to you because he said that. He
And
said
I
he was
think
coming to
everyone's formed an
a
opinion
Labour
based upon
supporter.
what we've had in that time.
Okay, all right.
He's eating
look, a
steak.
mixed range of views here is fair to say. Back to you in the studio where the results are coming in. I hear it now, thick and fast.
And what's he doing? Shoveling in food
Patrick,
when
thank you very
he
much
knows
indeed.
he's
It's
going to get
always a key
interviews.
message. Don't interview someone mid-sausage roll.
No, never.
That's what
I tell you what, I could go for a sausage roll right now, if anyone has one.
Carnage, isn't it?
Right, we've got 90 seconds in this hour. Brandon Lewis, Jeff Hoon, Gloria Di Piero, James Heapy, all here. Jeff, where are you? You're here. Because you swapped sides a minute ago. I mean, what do you make of what we're seeing so far in this idea that reform is actually a very strong second in
I think
the
it's an incredible
constituencies?
situation and not one that I would have easily anticipated, because it does mean in those two seats, and we've only had these two results, in effect, Reform would become the party of opposition, which is what Nigel Farage has been saying. Whether he's got seats in the House of Commons to be able to deliver on that remains to be seen. There's little doubt that from nowhere to score 11,000 votes is quite an achievement.
It's just
James CP, what's your reaction? I mean, we had a conversation earlier, didn't we, about where the Conservative Party goes from here, and you're saying that it needs to remain rather centrist as opposed to lurching to the right. But at the same time, clearly, the thing about populism is it is quite popular, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but look, the decision for those who are choosing a leader next and that leader thereafter is this a fight for to be a party sort of out there on the part of the right wing spectrum where kind of Maloney and others around Europe are, or is there we're going to stay on the centre right? I would argue for the latter.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Thank you all very much. And we're going to chat a lot
Of
more
course they
in the
would.
next few minutes. But you are watching GB News on this election night. It's midnight.
Live across the United Kingdom, this is GB News Vote 2024.
Where's Bev Turner? There she is. She scrubbed the ball right earlier on.
Across the United Kingdom, this is GB News, Britain's election channel. I'm Camilla Tominey.
I'm Stephen Dixon. We're 2 hours into our 2024
She was on
election
location.
coverage, and this is what our political editor, Christopher Hope, has described the exit poll as.
I'm getting texts on my phone from Tory MPs saying that the big heads are rolling. The biggest political earthquake, maybe a tsunami, as someone said, since Labour's win in 1997.
The exit poll has predicted the following.
Well, that's
Labour
kind of
to
what we
win
expected.
410 seats and the Conservatives to win 131, leaving Labour with a 170-seat majority. The Lib Dems are projected to win 61 seats, Reform on 13 seats, more than was anticipated, and the SNP in Scotland reduced to
So
just
the
10
independents at the bottom with 21, isn't it?
21 or 24 or something, wasn't it? Yeah, 20. Yeah, they got 25
21.
on the other. Yeah, so I mean, fucking,
21.
that's quite interesting. That's quite a good
Yeah.
showing, really, from the Indies, isn't it?
So that means that obviously George is in that section there.
Yeah.
Incredibly encouraging, and it shows the tremendous amount of work that Keir Starmer has done in transforming the Labour Party. And
God, can you
She's
imagine?
got a speech impediment, though, hasn't she? Like, she clearly has a speech impediment.
Well, can you imagine David Lammy being Foreign Secretary later on today?
Well, he is Foreign Secretary. At least the name would make sense.
Oh God.
It's quite hilarious. They still keep talking to fucking Joe Johnson on it.
Whether Brexit was a good idea.
Sunderland Central, please. Sunderland Central.
Okay, here we go. Sunderland Central's coming in. Here we go.
I, Patrick Mealy,
It's going to be another Labour one, isn't it?
hereby give notice that the total number of votes for each candidate for the Sunderland Central constituency is as follows. Lewis Malcolm Atkinson, 16,852.
Terrible, there we are.
Chris Einon,
16,000.
10,779.
What?
How many? How many?
Rachel Sarah Featherstone,
10,000.
2,993.
Oh, 1,000.
What?
Niall
No.
J. Hodgson,
Yeah.
3,602. Greg Peacock, 5,700.
Yeah, 10,000, mate. That's what I said. Not
Wow.
1,000, 10,000.
The number of rejected
That's what I was
votes.
confused.
Yeah, the same
said
pattern
one
as Trevor was
originally.
saying that we have
Yeah.
seen in the previous two seats.
Yeah, it said 1, but it was 10,000.
I'm not sure they're that close there. If I'm right in saying that, Trevor.
No,
Half
I mean,
the
actually,
vote.
I haven't been able to look back and see what it was last time, but I suspect it's the same pattern as previously. Can I just pick up on John Redwood and Joe Johnson's discussion?
Dude, Reform are getting like 30-odd% of the vote all around the country.
So what did Conservatives get?
Conservatives are getting like 15%. They got 14.3% of the vote. They got 5,700. They're just
They got
splitting
double
Reform's
again.
vote. They're splitting Reform's vote. Like Reform could have been potentially winning these areas with a bit of extra campaigning time, and with Conservatives standing down in certain areas.
Yeah.
So no one should ever vote Conservative again if they are a Conservative, because they've just handed the Labour the biggest majority they've ever fucking had.
The thing is, it'll just encourage the movement anyway, so it doesn't matter at this stage.
There's nothing they can do, mate. I think this is unstoppable at this stage. I feel a bit more positive about everything recently, just because I feel like they put themselves in a no-win trap now, haven't they? There's nothing that they can really fucking do. They're going to have to suck it up, because everything they do is going to work against them.
So I said a couple of years ago, I want to destroy the Conservative Party, so it doesn't exist basically as a party. And I didn't even believe myself. I really didn't even believe myself. But at this stage, it's literally been mortally wounded. This is no one can take the lead role. None of them.
Did you see Peter Hitchens bitching and moaning because the Conservative Party were getting destroyed? And even though he's been calling for the Conservative Party to be destroyed for since the first person doing it, now it's actually happening. He's like, it's a very bad idea. We definitely shouldn't destroy the Conservative Party. It's over.
The thing is, if people to say, if you think it's bad with the Conservatives, what's it going to be like with Labour? Like I said before,
it's the Uni Party, don't matter, does it?
But basically, by having a Labour in, you're just accelerating the destruction. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, you don't. There's nowhere for them to hide. They've got such a big majority.
Just a bit later.
Yeah, anything they do, they can't blame on other people, can they? Because they've got just such a gigantic majority. It's not like they're going to be able to say they were hamstrung in any of their efforts. It's all on them, really.
Your Lib Dem targets are fucking so.
I know. Look at the areas as well, though. Like it's fucking hilarious, really. Of course, they're Lib Dem areas.
Yeah,
Chelsea
Somerset,
and Fulham.
Gloucester.
Do you know what I mean, dude? Like Hampstead and Highgate, Dorset West, Cambridge, Sutton and Cheam. Like, for fuck's sake, of course they're Lib Dem areas. It's like, basically, we've got enough money that we just don't want to worry about politics and fuck everyone else. Like, that's essentially Lib Dem.
Chip and Sobry. Fleet.
It's like the most politically disinterested, selfish scumbag voters going.
That's all he's done. Literally, that's all he's done. He's made himself out to be a clown by doing all sorts of stupid activities. Getting drowned, going into some dinghy.
That was kind of based in a way, just because of how retarded it was. He's just kind of like, yeah, fuck talking about policies or doing anything. I'm just going to go on like a fucking one of them like rings they pull after a boat or whatever. Like, it's just pure retard.
Yeah, he was doing something every 3 days.
Yeah, it's
what the fuck?
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, let's put some speakies on.
I can't hear anything.
An inclusive city, mate. Of course it is.
Yeah, it's mute. It's mute for us, isn't it?
Oh, is it mute?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sharing the wrong one.
What an incredibly bright future we can have together here. I want to thank my agent Michael and the whole Labour campaign team, who have been incredible in the whirlwind 5 weeks since I was selected as a candidate. I want to pay tribute to Julie Elliott, my predecessor, who served Sunderland Central with commitment and who has been a huge support to many across the city and Labour movement, including myself. What underpins my politics are the values of community, decency, and hard work. The two people who taught me those values are here tonight. Mum and Dad, thank you for everything. While it is a huge honour to be elected, I want to be clear that I do not regard this itself as an achievement.
All right, let's leave Lewis Atkinson there. He is the new Labour MP for Sunderland Central. It's a Labour hold, but he's a new member of Parliament. Here are results then. It's 16,852 votes for Labour, but that is a 0% change in the vote share. Reform UK, Chris
That's
Enion,
weird, isn't it?
second, 10,779 with 27% of the share. Greg Peacock for the Conservatives, 5,731, 14.3%. They're down 21.1%.
The interesting thing about this is that was a seat where the Brexit Party did run in 2019, and the Brexit Party candidate then got 5,000. So they've doubled their share, if you can make the point that the Brexit Party has become reform. And
well, they're up
equally,
15%.
that hemorrhaging of the Conservative vote there, I mean, came second last time round with 15,000, but in fact now down to 5,000. So again, that pattern seems to be being reciprocated across the red wall, gents, this idea of reform beating the Conservatives into third place.
Let's talk to Steve Reid, Labour's candidate for Streatham and Croydon North, who joins us from Westminster. Good to see you this morning. I tell you what is interesting about this. I mean, it is no surprise that Labour has held this seat, but it is perhaps a worthy question to say, well, why haven't Labour increased the share of the vote on this at all?
Well, you've just been talking about an exit poll that predicts a Labour landslide across the whole country. We've had 3 results so far. You know, the exit poll is a poll. These are actual results, and all of them have shown solid Labour majorities. Now, from the information we've got so far, Labour is on its way into power, and it's doing that less than 5 years after we got our worst election result for 85 years. The reason that's happening is because Keir Starmer has changed the Labour Party from top to bottom. It's unrecognisable from what it used to be before. So people are coming across to Labour and voting for Labour to form a government right across the country. You're going to get variation from one seat to another depending on local factors. But the story we're seeing in the 3 results so far and the exit poll is people are backing a changed Labour Party that 5 years ago...
So reform is...
changed Labour Party.
So reform has had double what the Conservatives had on 2 of the results and 40% more on one of those. So on the results, so they had 100% more on, because they had 5,000, didn't they? The Conservatives basically on the 2 of them, and they had 10 plus on the 2 of them. And the third one, I think there was 4,000 in it. So
yeah, lunch status eaten, mate.
yeah, people got to get out to vote, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. If people can get politically interested in the next however long, there might be some chance of saving things yet, or saving. I'm not really, I don't necessarily mean saving things as in saving the system we've got currently, but we've got a chance of getting something better. That's what I'm thinking.
Let's see what they're talking about on there.
is an
Yes,
element of
Steve,
truth in
I
the,
was going to put
the
this on. I said,
scrutiny and the
Steve
way in
Baker's
which
just obviously saying
information
how
is
it's
given has
devastating.
completely changed. Even since I started in politics, sort of 12 years ago, it's completely changed, and social media has changed it, but it's changed it for everybody. But I think the problem is, Steve, that as a government, we haven't delivered enough for people. We lost our credibility for competence because we've had 5 prime ministers who seem to have taken a kind of anti-papal view of just
Sir Robert Buckland's
okay.
Swindon side.
See what's happening.
Of course, Heidi Alexander up against him, former Labour MP. Let's see.
All those tellies in the background just make it look confusing.
The election of a Member of Parliament for Swindon.
They're not even using them. They're just there as a
I,
backdrop.
Sam Mowbray, being the acting returning officer at the above election, do hereby give notice.
Reformer at the
that
bottom. I
number of
don't know what
votes
that means.
recorded for each candidate at the said election is as follows.
Here we
Heidi
go.
Alexander, Labour Party, 21,676. Robert James Buckland, the Conservative Party candidate, 12,070.
Wow.
Goodness me.
Martin Costello, Independent,
I know him.
472.
As well, but Heidi Alexander almost double the votes of Robert Buckland, who was the sitting MP.
2,539.
And the Reform vote?
Catherine Kozidowski, Reform UK, 6,190.
That's not good. I mean, I think it's the
Heidi
Kozidowski
Alexander is declared.
factor might have been a thing there. I don't know. Do you think the Kozidowski? Do you think the diversity factor's an issue? Apparently, it's all the diversity candidates that have missed out on their seats for Reform. So, none of the diversity candidates have got.
Well,
seats,
she could be a based Slovak.
She's probably a base Pole or something, mate. Poles are usually really based. She's probably a base Pole. She's probably Catholic, like hates immigrants. Like she's probably great, but I don't know who the fuck she is. I might look her up actually. Who's Catherine Kozidowski?
You have to spell that now, yeah.
Catherine Kozidowski. Let's see.
It's
She's
never
a
how you
Reform
say it.
candidate, Swindon South. Let's get a picture of her. Oh, right. She's like, she's an older lady. That's probably why. She's probably just being menopausal and not canvassing very well.
Was she just being a middle-aged woman?
She's at a woman moment. It's like they're like Catherine Kozidowski has 6,000 votes. Woman moment.
And I employ 6 at the moment, and they're not all full time, but I employ 6. They deserve.
I mean, Swindon, man. Swindon's probably what is the ethnic makeup of Swindon? I'm just going to look up the demographics here because this is obviously ethnic demographics. Swindon. I'm assuming that Swindon is like fully BAMEd. That's just my guess. Isn't Lotus Eaters based in Swindon actually?
Yeah.
Are they? Let's see if they're peeking out because they just said that come in.
I bet they're just doing their thing. I don't know. They didn't seem to be up on it, did they? But we'll see.
I don't know. They did seem.
I thought they were just doing their thing, but
They've got Morgoth on there and he's Boomer in it. Okay, I like Morgoth, mate. Morgoth invites in on
I
the as a
know,
Boomer.
I am not angry. You and I have gone a long
We-
way.
we
through
can't
the last
see it,
few
mind you.
years, haven't we?
We're
And,
seeing
I've
Sky.
14 years of this.
Yeah, I'll put Sky
in the
back
main
on
issues
because
today,
they're
repeatedly,
just having
and in
technical
all the
issues
history
on
books, and there's no just a matter of fact.
Lotus Eaters.
It's been a hell of a 14 years. If
Has
it's
he
time for me
changed
to
his
go and do
shirt,
something
your
else
mate?
for my life, I can assure you, I did not
He's
ask
changed his
anyone
shirt.
to vote Conservative for my sake. If I lose, it
You'd have thought you would. And to be honest with you, it's quite
So
common.
Swindon, the ethnic makeup of Swindon is 74% white British.
Okay.
It's 11.6% Asian, up from 6.4 in 2011. 2.6% black, up from 1.4 in 2011. So it's fairly white. I mean, but again, like I wouldn't take this into account because this is from the 2021 census. Yeah. Now, as far as I'm aware, the BAMEification that's happened in the area I live in, that's like increased, like I don't know, just going anecdotally.
Well, as you know, the in-group preference, so you're going to get boroughs of Swindon that will be the demographic would be much higher.
Yeah, and also, are we seeing like,
as you get it in every
there's
city?
block voting again that we've seen so far. Like, there's definitely, and also the turnout's trash as well. You just got like, it hardly takes anything to swing it, does it? Really?
No, if it's turnout.
Well, that's another one that's coming as expected. Reform polled a lot lower than I was kind of expecting, really, in a way. Because given that because they've been like coming out about 30% each time, I would have thought that they. I don't know. It's just going to leave a lot of unhappy boomers tomorrow, isn't it? I want to see what's happening at the boomer party again.
So the Welsh Tripper is talking about what happened to Diane Abbott. What actually happened? They didn't allow her back in, did they?
Diane Abbott. What happened to Diane Abbott?
Well, they kicked her out, didn't they? So they didn't allow her back in, did they, in the end? I think.
Diane Abbott news.
Because she got kicked out of the Labour Party, didn't she? But they wanted.
Diane. Oh, Diane. Where's our Diane?
So I don't know. She must be going as an independent, isn't she?
Hackney Abbott.
Tower Hamlets.
No, she could only find an actual pair of shoes, though. She can find 2 left ones, so she can go out and campaign.
Yeah, that's a whole new world of crazy.
Oh, it's still. What's this? Sunderland Central. Are they just calling this now?
Yeah, well, yeah. If it's.
Wait, where's it? Fucking. Where's my tab? So. So what have we got in? We've got, is it Sunderland Central, Swindon, and
it's all going to be cold.
It's another Sunderland one, isn't there? Holborn, St Pancras count. This is where this is from.
Yeah, well, we've just got a Google page at the moment. We have, I think. There we are. Let's see and stuff.
What's that?
Yeah, we've got nothing on our screen, basically.
Oh, it's just not sharing the right tab. Sorry, it just keeps not
There you
fucking.
I thought so.
The next leadership race will be that there is a need to win back reform voters, and it will tack to the right, and it will point that in that direction.
Here we go. Boomer party, mate. Back to the boomer party.
Okay.
This is the most important part of the evening.
Sausage rolls, and he left. They're all gone.
We've got a live report. Jubes is telling us right now that they're bringing out the party, the finger foods. The sausage rolls are coming out, the little sausage rolls, and they've got pineapple and cheese in little cubes on sticks.
They're talking about Clacton here. Faraz has got it, I think, though.
Shit tonight, haven't they? So here you go. This one's on me.
The boomer party is the most
I'm not saying
important
this
one.
will be very good quality.
Oh, Michelle, on Valentine's night, you gave me a heart, and now I'm getting a pint on a victory night. Oh, I think you're doing well.
She has poured a pint before. Look at that.
It's after midnight, so. Hey!
I've been told it's all about the head, and I'm pretty impressed with that, everyone. Look at that. Look at that. I don't think I've ever poured a full pint in all my life.
Everyone's giving her a fucking round of applause. Jesus Christ.
I know, it's terrible.
GB News, man, is fucking so
A
boomer.
night
It's
for
unreal.
celebration for the Labour Party. The results are coming through thick and fast. How are you feeling?
So look, I'm feeling good. I think that result
How
we've
you
just
feeling?
seen in Swindon.
Fucking traumatised, mate.
Classic marginal seat, Tory-Labour battle for, frankly, time immemorial. It's one of those real seats that what happens in Swindon is how the country goes, and that was a very good result for Labour. But obviously, the results in the northeast that we saw, where Reform was taking all those Tory votes and Labour was getting very small swings or no swing, will be a bit worrying when the dust settles. But as the results coming from across the country, I think it's going to be a good night for Labour.
Well, I feel like I need to add this to my CV because now that we're certain to have a Labour government, I feel like I'm going to have to get a second job. Because
Can you feel the sexual tension, Welshie?
No.
Our council.
To not increase income tax, to not increase national insurance, and and they're certainly not going to increase.
I didn't mention those.
But also on council tax, I don't think that's a scare story. Look, this
So hang on. So are you telling me that you're telling me if I come and talk to you,
You're telling me.
my council tax?
Oh, fuck, sorry.
There'll probably be the inflation rise you get every year, but nothing beyond that, absolutely. I mean, I think the changes they might make are on things like capital gains tax, which very few people pay, and obviously they've said about sorting
Hold
out
on,
DOMS
because
tax.
you might say very few people pay capital gains tax as it stands now, but a lot of people have an asset that increases massively when it's their primary residence.
That will be.
Are you coming after that?
No, absolutely not. That will remain exempt from capital gains tax. There's no way that the family home will be taxed any differently under Labour.
So why did Keir Starmer say then when he was asked, he says that we're not going to raise taxes, the ones that you just described, for working people. He was asked, what do you mean by working people? He basically said anyone that's not done well for themselves and had the audacity to put a few quid apart for a rainy day.
Look, I mean, I think that we need to increase saving in this country anyway. At the moment, though, on capital gains tax, if you buy and sell shares, you're taxed less than if you go to work and you work behind a bar pulling pints.
But that's because there's a risk involved in your investment. They can go open. I can tell you.
Now Michelle's got a share portfolio here,
This
hasn't she?
conversation is going to continue. I am going to get the pints pulled because I really do feel that I'm going to have to get a second job. He's saying my third job. Back to the studio.
Cheeky.
Jesus Christ,
Lovely, thanks
mate.
very much.
Jesus fucking Christ. Well, thank God GB News is bringing the high-level discourse around the election.
So what's the numbers there? Is that the old ones? Is it okay?
I think
terrible. Isn't it?
There's an election map here, so this is like this will update as they come in. This is on the Independent.
Fuck me, Wales looks nothing like Wales in real life. On that map.
that work for you, as you said. How do you feel now, looking back at your Brexit reputation, given that your seat was very much a Remain seat?
Well, Wickham district was bigger than Wickham constituency. I'm afraid this has been one of the banes of the conversation. And Wickham district had a result, and you couldn't extract Wickham constituency's result from the figures. But this really is OTOs because we had a national result, and yet it wasn't legally binding. But everybody understood that if they voted that the UK would leave the European Union, then we would go outside the structure.
Really, we just need to see what mad shit. Is Wickham coming in? We need to see what mad shit the Labour start doing before it really kicks off. People having a reaction to this, don't we? I mean, it doesn't really mean anything until things start happening, and then people will no doubt get more radicalised.
I'm concerned about Wales. If you go back 10 seconds, Wales doesn't look like Wales, and it looks like.
What has happened to Wales over the course of this evening?
So, okay, a bit more now.
I mean, to be fair, Scotland. I mean, look at what's going on there. What, they have constituencies on some of them little Shetland Islands. That's.
I think because there's that not many constituencies in parts of Wales, they've just like cut the land out because they've kept those like. Those figures all the same. Hexagons all the same.
Yeah, so you're basically they've said that much of Wales is basically irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like there's no point giving a vote to sheep, is there? So like if there is just sheep living there, then it's not like, you know.
Yeah, look, there it is, there, right there, above Target.
I
What's
see.
that?
Yeah.
What's
what the
that?
fuck? That is weird. I guess all that part is the fucking. That side of Wales just doesn't get a vote. There's no one living there, I guess. Not enough people.
They should just made the hex. They should just made the hexagons bigger. So
they're like, look, basically, if 3 people move into this constituency, they can shift the power here. So we can't have people fucking having.
I think that's what it is. It's just not enough consistency.
Not enough people living there. Exactly. Yeah. Did you just see a little lad in the background walking back and forth in front of the camera?
Looks like you've lost those people. What happened? Well, if the Conservative Party doesn't stand for freedom, then it stands for nothing. I've said it, I'm sure, several times. we've ended up not standing for freedom. We've stood for a technocratic managerialism, and that's not who we are, and it's not what works.
Is that what you mean?
Holy shit.
You're talking about Rishi Sunak there.
But for good, everybody knows that I've been a Conservative.
Who's this guy?
As if he's calling out technocratic managerialism.
It's ironic that we're both sitting here.
Ah, no, for fuck's sake.
It looks like you've lost us.
Myself as a classical liberal in the Conservative.
He's giving it the classical liberal line.
100 years of
Fuck's
classical liberalism. And that's really what's damaging our economy and our society.
Okay.
Because we're all learning, trying to live at everybody else's expense, and it's ruinous.
We must let you go, but thank you for taking the
Very
time
welcome.
to join us. Thank you. Washington and Gateshead.
Manchester
South.
Liberal. That's what I
Washington
am.
and Gateshead.
All
South, 1 in 10 adults are in poor health. Almost a third of adults in Washington and Gateshead South have never worked, which is well above the national average. So that's the demographic for you in Washington
Where
and
was
Gateshead
that?
South. Heading up to Glasgow in just a second. But before
Washington
that,
Where was what? Washington. Yeah, Gates itself. So again, that's northeast.
go and use the headlines for you.
Check
So
the
far,
demographics there. A third of the
okay,
population.
yeah.
A third of the population has never worked.
Really?
That's what she just said.
Gates. Yeah, I'm not surprised actually. I've been up there and it's extremely deprived. It's near begins with an M and is above
33%.
Newcastle. Gateshead ethnic.
Oh, they've got another one coming up in a minute. It's coming up now.
Nice. Okay, let's switch over to it.
Davies' creative campaign appears to have worked
Which one's that on?
I don't know. They had a count on the other. Maybe there's on one of them.
No, there doesn't seem to be right now. They're talking on both of these ones.
Okay. Is that a football team?
Yeah, I know. What the fuck? Are they going for like some FIFA Ultimate Team style graphics, aren't they?
Wow.
predicted to win just 10 seats. Connor standing by for us in Glasgow this morning. Hello to you, Connor. 10 seats is the prediction.
Okay, this is a grim night for the SNP.
Gateshead is 94% white, mate.
To be believed. Let's remember the
Wow.
SNP has been huge in Scotland, the most dominant political force north of the border for more than a decade, has won every election in that period. And this will be the first time, if the polls are to be believed, that will not happen for the first time in a very, very long time. Now, I've been speaking privately to some senior SNP sources, and they are saying, look, this is bad for us. It is worse than we were potentially expecting. 10 seats was at the lower estimate. Potentially around 20 would have been a good night. What's going on here? What are the voters thinking? Well, clearly the SNP's been in power for close to 2 decades.
So
here
DEI
in Scotland. It's still
works
mired
in
in
the
that
SNP,
police
didn't it?
investigation, examining its funding and its
Hams are
finances.
useless.
Has had the arrest of
Yeah,
its
I
former
mean,
leader, Nicola Sturgeon. She was released without charge as well.
That's what I said earlier.
It
That's
is,
what I said earlier
not
about like why are they seeing that like all of these diversity experiments are failing? They're seeing that the Green Party with their uber progressive insanity is getting 1 or 2 seats, and then they're saying yes, we need to go more towards that. Like, how does that make any sense? Like, they're not gonna. That's just not gonna fly, is it really? This is why I just think this is great for us. Really, I don't think. I think today feels like a win, really, in a way. I know that sounds like cope. I know that sounds like I'm huffing
No.
some major fucking copium right now. But
I just spotted Diane Abbott in your thumbnail.
Oh right. She just pops up to.
No, it's no, this is good, mate. This is all good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh,
it's not
you're making them have a super majority. Well, let's be honest about it. You know, you provided and you've given us nothing to hope to vote for you. So the only thing we can do now is fuck you off. That's it. Spend.
Yeah. Exactly, like I said, fucking Tories for breakfast, go back for Labour for lunch.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it seems to be the trajectory, especially given that, the kids love Farage, as we found out over the past month or so.
But it was those Russian bots, don't forget.
Yeah, obviously the Russian bots were making and sharing all the Farage memes and stuff. What I wanted to do, I forgot to do it before we started the stream, but I wanted to get that fucking music that Farage was coming out to.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what that tune is? What is that tune?
Can you get that? I think that was. I've seen. Is it Men in Black? I think it was not Men in Black. Keanu Reeves. Mental block.
You've seen Keanu Reeves. I think he does exist. Oh wait,
No,
Farage theme music.
Yeah,
No, that's for when he's. That's just him on GB News.
No, there's Farage, there's Keanu Reeves dodging the bullets.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah, I saw that earlier on Lotus Eaters. I was referring to that music that he keeps coming on to, like where he keeps coming on to like that. Yeah, this music.
Okay, let's have a look.
Yes, Nigel Farage in the house. Big up to all my M words.
There's some interesting Europop songs at the moment. I think we will refrain from playing, but it's quite interesting in Europe at the moment.
Fucking top cack. Yeah, Europe stuff's going on, isn't it? Stuff's occurring.
Yeah, Europop seems to be quite it's popular at the moment.
Yeah, it's making a bit of a comeback, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be. And blue eyes and blonde hair.
and Austrian painters.
I don't.
So we're making a comeback. It's funny though, because like I joked with Jim ages ago about like, anti-Semitism is going to make a big comeback, and I was only slightly joking because it was like more of a comment on like how the actions of Israel are going to like provoke people into like criticizing them more. And then sure enough, like about a year or so later, like they all start burging out, like, and and here we are now, where anti-Semitism has been somewhat mainstreamed again.
Yeah. Let's see what Andy's got to say.
To build Labour back in the way that he has, it's partly due to his
should get results through
the way
soon.
he works, but I
lot.
just
Yeah, I'd imagine
I
there'd
need
be
to
some more coming
recognise
through
Anna's
shortly.
role, because if these results come through, it's a big
We've had
vindication of
5.
his.
I need to bring Ed in. Ed?
It's actually interesting what Ruth was saying. Definitely when it comes to Scotland, you've got these kind of confidence bands when it comes to the exit poll.
No,
So
I need to change my
the kind of
picture to be
range that
something
it
more
could possibly be
appropriate
in. And when it comes to
for-
Scotland, the range is bigger than for other parts of the UK just because there's just a lot of uncertainty there. However, it could actually be worse. It could actually be on the downside, even worse on the downside for the SNP.
Oh,
We'll
I'll
have to
make
wait and see,
a
and that's
quick
one of those
one
evolving
to-
stories. But one thing I did want to show you is, should we look at Swindon South? Just down there, so Swindon South, because we had a result there that was really interesting.
Gonna be
Obviously, you
on
see
mute
Heidi
for a second,
Alexander
I'll show you back in a moment.
coming back into Parliament, Robert Butland out. But if we look at the backstory here, we've been doing this with all of these constituencies so far, comparing the exit poll with the eventual results, and so far it's looked pretty good. There's what the exit poll suggested would happen in Swindon South: 44% Labour. In the event, 48%, so a bit better. Conservatives, 27. In the event, 26.9. So again, that's kind of bang on. And Reform a little bit weaker in Swindon South. 17% was the expectation. Turns out to have been about 14%. But broadly speaking, take all of these results together, and actually the exit poll's looking pretty good, to be honest with you. And what's significant about Swindon South, okay, same constituency, is it's a very different demographic story to the story that we're seeing there in the northeast that we were talking about a moment ago. And so the fact that we're seeing that reflected elsewhere, the fact that we're seeing that the exit poll looks pretty accurate elsewhere, again, it makes you a bit more confident that those numbers we were talking about, those landslide numbers you probably heard about at the start of the programme, that they look pretty good, as does this is a really striking chart. Okay, this is showing you swings at general elections. Okay, and what we have here is a kind of broad swing. Actually, I shouldn't say that's not quite the exit poll. This is the swing that we have implied by the results that we have so far, about 12.5% or so. And just look at how high that swing is. As I say, it's not the exit poll. This is the result swings, but one presumes it's kind of in the same kind of ballpark. About 12.6%, which would be basically unprecedented in the post-war period. There is nothing else in terms of the swing. Even this is the famous Blair swing of 1997, is not as big as what we are potentially witnessing right now. As I say, that's from the results that we've got so far, but we know those results are kind of not that far off, not that inconsistent with the story that we heard about from the exit poll. So already, you're seeing it, Kay, in the actual numbers as opposed to the exit poll projections.
I'm hearing Labour not potentially doing quite as well in Wales as they are in other parts of the country.
That's exactly true. Yeah. So you see some of that
25 years of
so
Welsh
seats that were previously Labour that then went Conservative in 2019 are kind of going back, but the effect is not as marked in Wales. That's definitely what the exit poll.
Sorry, what's that Welsh? I just AFK for a moment.
For his dam high.
Yeah, we got one coming in.
Kay, really interesting hearing from Ed there about that impact in Wales. We're yet to get any results here, but it is looking like, looking at the exit polls, that red wall that went blue in 2019 is going to go back red, especially in North Wales. One interesting point, the Welsh Secretary, David T.C. Davis, we've just been huddled around on the phone with him. He is the candidate for Monmouthshire. And my colleague Thomas Evans has just been on the phone.
Central declaring Newcastle Central.
Hereby give notice that the total number of votes for each candidate for the Newcastle upon Tyne, Central and West Ward is as follows. Ali Afe, Liberal Democrat, 1,946.
Yeah.
Francis Lazok, the Conservative Party, 4,228. Ashton Hector
Blimey.
Muncaster, Reform UK, 7,800.
Get in.
Chi Onwurah, Labour Party, 18,875.
What?
Right, Reform second again, Andy Burnham.
Chi Onwurah.
Yes,
Labour winning.
that is certainly the story.
We're
in the
fucked, mate. We're fucked. Chi Onwurah. It's a Korean dish. It's got a lot of flavour, chilies.
I don't know what to say. Okay, it's just what it is, isn't it?
It's going to be like, so we've got a 100% BAME Parliament now. Like, we are as diverse as you can get. We have zero English in Parliament.
But don't forget we're racist.
There'll be the point where they just stop calling people racist because there literally won't be any need for it. Because there'll be so few people that it's just like they can just completely ignore any dissent. I mean, it's a wild old state of affairs, isn't it? Like,
It's funny when they claim for DEI and stuff, and you say, okay, so if you want DEI in, like, it's for pilots and for other professions, why can't we have DEI for basketball?
your mic's a bit crackly there. Yeah. Fucking, it's just one nonsense after another, isn't it? Really.
I mean, if people don't apply for the job or like, then that's just the way it is, and just allow it. It's whatever. Whoever wants to go for the job, who's qualified for the job, gets the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what they say about Chi Onwurah.
Last time had a 57% share. This time it's 46%. Reform is up from about 6-7%.
Chi Umbongo is one of the.
I mean, the point here is that this is a northeast pattern. I think I have a feeling it's quite specific. Yeah. The point is that people are leaving the Tories, but they're not coming to Labour. They're going to Reform. I think that's a very clear.
Certainly
pattern.
these early
it's Chi Umbongo now.
Mick Lynch is here. Everybody recognised you, of course. We saw you in the wide shot. Even in the wide shot, they'd know who you were, Mick. It's great to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
So Mick, is it?
We said, how's it going? You said, well, it's looking better.
Well, it's looking better than the Tories winning. I'm just determined to see the Tories crushed tonight. That's what I want to fight for. There's particular favourites that I want to see go down. I've got no shame in saying
Have you got
that.
a list?
I've got a long list, yeah.
Go on.
Well, it
Mark
starts with
Harper will
Grant
be one of them,
Shapps,
yeah.
Mark Harper, and a few others, because I think they've done the country a disservice, and they need to go. And I think that's what the public's going to do. But I think your points about Labour's fairly flat vote in the North East is because the manifesto and the offer is not bold enough. It's a fairly vanilla proposal that we've been put. People have been getting away with this Ming Vase stuff, but you can't carry a Ming Vase through 5 years of government. You've got to be bold.
Mick, do you not think that part of the reason that they're getting as big a majority as it looks like is precisely because it was a Ming Vase? They didn't do anything too radical and bold in the manifesto in order to try and build a wide coalition of voters.
It could well be. I accept that point, that they ran a very careful campaign and didn't want to get offside with anyone's views. So if you don't displease as many groups as possible, you may end up garnering a few votes. But in traditional Labour heartlands, they're not harvesting 60, 70% of the vote, which you'd think you'd be getting if people were really behind your programme. Now, that doesn't mean they won't be able to do anything. I'm hoping they will do. They're making good offers on the future of the railways, for instance. But on big issues in working class areas, council housing is what we need. They keep going with this term, social housing. I want people like Andy to be able to build tens of thousands of council houses under direct council control. I think an offer like that would have been very bold in areas, traditional working class areas such as the ones you're seeing coming out. That's simply not appealing to people.
Do you think that Labour, if they do get this sort of size of majority, should become more radical and bolder in government and perhaps go beyond what they promised in the manifesto?
The government's got to meet the
That's
needs of the
exactly
day.
what
And
they said
at
they
the
won't
moment,
do.
The economic plan is not going to meet the needs of the country. So if you go to any part of the country, there is infrastructure need. Andy's talked about it a lot. Our railways need restructuring. Our health service needs investment. The fiscal plan that they've got will
kill globalist managerialism. So,
No, but they want it to be boring, not like in your face rainbow.
Yeah, they want
24/7.
Yeah.
They know it's unpopular.
Yeah, they want global managerialism to be safe, and they want people to think, well, there's no other way. And if there's a guy in your face screaming, by the way, I hate white people, and I'm going to take over Clacton for the blacks and browns, you'd be like, okay, maybe not that guy. Maybe he's not the guy.
I don't think we're done with the woke yet, so I don't think it's going to be put away in the next 10 years.
I guess that'll be another cigar.
They've tuned out a bunch
And in a roundabout way, if we're thinking as praxis philosophers, we should be wanting Labour to go down that route, because then that would give Nigel Farage the best chance of winning the 2027 election.
That's precisely when they're not going to do it.
Just apparently
anyway.
we've got a clip of Steve Baker in the studio being told he's about to lose. Let's see.
Steve, I'm sorry to be putting you up here on the screen like this, but you know, we are giving you a less than 1% chance of hanging on to your seat.
That's hard.
You know,
Go away.
It would really take a half stone not to laugh, wouldn't it?
And they stuck him in there with Mandelson.
Yeah.
Just to dig it in a bit more. You know?
I mean, Mandelson doesn't even look that thrilled.
No, he doesn't.
Like, you'd think Mandelson would just be giving him the evil eye.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Mandelson seems very resigned. Weird. And Farage has given a quick speech from the Clacton hustings results in the constituency. I haven't watched this yet, but let's see what he says.
It's midnight. There are two results in from the northeast of England that put Reform on 30% of the vote. That is way more than any possible prediction or projection. It's almost unbelievable. And what does it mean? It means we're going to win seats, many seats, I think, right now across the country. But to watch the TV coverage, it's almost comical. There's not a single representative on there from Reform UK. Mainstream media are in denial just as much as our political parties. This is going to be 6 million votes plus. This, folks, is huge.
Okay, Nige, what did I say earlier about picking the media you patronize?
Yeah.
Why don't we have an official Reform candidate? We are the largest political stream covering the election in the UK. We are thrashing all of our other opponents. I don't know what it is at the moment, but when I checked earlier, we had 50,000 concurrent live viewers on all the platforms. Why are you not leaning into our reach and spreading the message? Why are you relying on the old media? Again, previous paradigm. It's terrible. But anyway, Any thoughts on the election results coming in? We actually have another one from Newcastle Central and West,
Absolutely.
where the Conservatives have got almost half the Reform. So,
wow.
Reform, to be fair, this was quite a significant margin for Labour, but they're down by 13% because there's an independent candidate in there. But the Conservatives are down by 16% and Reform are up to 18.9%. So Conservatives are on 10, Reform are on nearly 19.
I think the long game is going to be really, really good.
Yeah,
but that's all it is. Yeah. Like this is Labour was always going to win. It was how badly Conservatives were going to lose.
Yeah,
but it's the long game. It's getting Reform in there and playing that long game, and that's
just
having promising.
Just having Nigel Farage in Parliament will make a huge difference.
Isn't it funny how like like everyone's kind of feels like this is a win?
Yeah.
So it's.
Yeah, reality might hit home in a couple of days.
Once they start jailing us all for hate speech.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone who said the M word on election night, you're going to prison now.
Yeah, let's move off Sargon just because I don't really want to jump on their stream.
Put an Indian in charge.
Yeah. And sort of.
We're so screwed. Yeah. But,
we did this coup for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because I think, so, and then we got these two fucking plastic cutouts. Look at this.
To nursery. That baby goes to primary schools.
Horrendous.
We're going to have breakfast clubs. That child goes to secondary schools. We're going to have 6,500 more teachers. They then go on to apprenticeships. That's going to be grown. And finally, we are going to have 1.5 million more homes for young people. That is a vision. That's a vision. That is a vision.
These houses will be in the hands of private
Who's that woman
landlords
speaking?
who are the problem, and they won't be in the hands of councils such as and authorities such as Andy's. That's the message that Attlee had in 45.
You're just so negative, Mick. You're just so negative. This is
negative.
This is
I'm
a
feeling
brand
upbeat
new.
because we got rid of the Tories, but you've got to have something to fill the vacuum, and that's why you're only getting 48%, where you should be getting
Let these
70%.
guys slug it out a bit. Go on, Margaret, go on.
Well, I just think, who has said that the 1.5 million houses that we've promised to build will not be affordable? I completely agree with Mick. Well,
They're not affordable.
don't.
You look at any development, they're
No,
selling
hang on a minute. We don't know how many. We don't know how many will be.
Owner. The council should be the landlord, not these developers.
Actually, housing association.
So we've got another 5 years of them ignoring the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah.
We've just had fucking 14 years of this increasing, and then they're just going to spend another 5 years continuing to ignore the elephant in the room and just not solve any of the issues because they're not addressing the root cause. It's super retarded.
I mean, the Rwanda is going to be reversed. Obviously, it was smoke and mirrors anyway. But it's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, it's like £1 billion or £500 million or something. And it was all smoke and mirrors anyway. It was all smoke and mirrors in the first place.
So, number one, tighter border controls. Don't let them in. Number two, kick people back out. Don't let them go and work for Deliveroo and shit like that. Just kick them back out again. Send them back to where they come from, basically. That's what I'd expect to happen to me. If I went to another country and just started bumming around there about a visa and this and that, I'd expect to just get sent back to my country. Why the fuck would anyone not expect that to happen? That's just exactly what you would expect, isn't it? And I'll go, yeah, fair. If they kick me out of their country, yeah, okay, I didn't get a visa, fair. So, yeah, 5 more years of just doing anything to actually avoid addressing the real issues, like Chris said before.
Forward with bold plans like that.
Yeah.
We are going to restructure our towns and cities in favour of working people rather than putting them in the hands
I'm saying, because I think
commercial
it's
developers.
implicit in the huge ambition that they're setting in the manifesto around around housing. And, Angela's talked of an ending homelessness unit in the Cabinet Office. We're really ready to get stuck into all of that. So the truth is in the middle of both of you.
Somebody who's keen to get stuck in even more than all of the rest of you is Rachel Reeves. She could well be the Chancellor by tomorrow morning.
Oh my
there
God.
she is. Can't take the smile off her face. Good
I hate
evening.
Rachel Reeves, man. I think she's actually mentally retarded.
Good evening, Kay. Yep, well, if the results unfold in the way that the exit polls suggest, then Labour are on course for an historic victory. But it's still early hours yet, and we'll see how the results unfold as the next few hours go by.
It might be short-lived, the celebration, though, because by all accounts, there's no money.
I'm under no illusions about the scale of the challenge that I will face, that Labour will face if we get the opportunity to form the government tomorrow.
Is she a real human?
The severity of the inheritance from the Conservatives is truly
one of them Westworld
But we will
robots.
get to work and starting to rebuild our economy, returning stability to the economy, and improving our health service and our schools after 14 years of chaos, division, and decline. We will get started in that work of rebuilding our country for the better, turning a page on what has gone before and starting a new chapter for Britain.
Rachel Reeves, it's Beth Rigby here. Just before you came on, there was a lively discussion between Mick Lynch and Margaret Hodge about whether a big majority, should this poll be correct, means that you, as perhaps the first female chancellor this country has ever had, will be under far more
We're gonna go
pressure
bankrupt them.
to be more radical than perhaps you would have been had you had a much smaller majority. Do you, one, recognise that this will be a live issue and problem for the Labour Party? And two, what's your reaction? What do you want to say to people that think you should go faster, further, bolder?
If we win tonight, it will be on the manifesto that we fought this election on, to bring stability back to our economy, to bring investment back to our economy and start reforming our economy, reforming the planning system, the New Deal for working people. But I think everybody recognises the huge scale of the challenge that will face any incoming government after the damage done by the Conservatives. Debt at almost 100% of GDP, taxes at a 70-year high, the first parliament on record where living standards are lower at the end than they were at the beginning. We can't promise to turn everything around straight away, but we will get to work in starting to rebuild our economy, bringing growth back to our economy and starting to turn around public services that have been so neglected by this Conservative government.
How much time do you think that the electorate will give you to try to start to turn the supertanker around?
Well, let us get started. We still don't have all the results from the elections. Let's wait to see how that unfolds. But whoever forms the next government, whatever composition it takes,
she has no idea.
But we are ready for
How
it.
should do anything?
My
You're not
question
ready for
remains the same,
anything.
Rachel
you
I
idiot.
am ready for that challenge.
Yeah, my question
Fuck, I
remains
hate
the same, Rachel Reeves, which is how long do you think you have?
Well, look, we've said that when we
got
are
5
looking
years, it's
for
not
a
really much of a
decade of
question.
national renewal to reform our public services, to bring the growth back to our economy, to improve living standards. But we want to get started work straight away. Our first steps on bringing stability back to the economy, 40,000 additional appointments every single week.
Oh my
in our national
days.
health service,
She's a legitimate
recruiting
NPC.
6,500 teachers into our state.
She says this shit on Twitter constantly about we're going to do this, we're going to do that. She never, ever outlines any sort of policy about how they go about achieving these things. And she says, we're going to create lots of jobs. We're going to create lots of hospital things.
How?
How? She's drives me absolutely mad because I don't understand how someone can get away with doing that in political discourse these days.
Today,
Just
we
no
thank
answers
everyone who has voted
anything
for the party.
ever.
We're ready, as you know, to help.
So you can only get away with that if you get softballed incredibly hard by the media.
Yeah.
We look forward, if you're up for it, to signing a growth plan and really...
She's going to be a train wreck, mark my words. If she's Chancellor, it's going to be an absolute train wreck.
With me, didn't you, a couple of weeks ago?
There's going to be some proper wacky policies as well.
Life. Can you see the Greater Manchester model kind of going further, deeper and going to other parts of the country?
Well, it's great to see the work that you're doing, Andy, with the Mayoral Development Corporation in Stockport, building that new housing that we desperately need, the commitment from an incoming Labour government to build 1.5 million homes in the first term of a Labour government, but also the investment that you're putting into transport as well. So we want to work with our mayors, with you, Andy, also with Tracy Brabin here in West Yorkshire, and the other mayors right around the country to make sure that we are starting to turn our economy round. And I want to work in partnership. I want to.
I thought you were going to ask her for money for it.
Unity, not division.
I nearly started bidding for money, but I think I'll leave that a couple of days. But I just think there's an interesting point, actually, that means election 24 is different than 97 if we are to see an incoming Labour government. In 97, there was no infrastructure in the regions. And that government sort of had a couple of years where it couldn't really do anything, and the regional development agencies were set up and they weren't great. That's the difference between that election and this one. I think expectations probably are not as high, which is probably helpful from.
Why have they got Keir Starmer just floating there in front of her?
There's also a big infrastructure in the city regions that are ready to build the homes for you, ready to reform transport as I'm doing.
His eyes watch you wherever you go in the room. Is that in those pictures?
She looks like a cartoon character.
Well,
with
that's
that haircut.
He wants money.
No, the Simpsons. The daughter, the sister,
I don't know.
or the mother. The hairstyle. The Simpsons. What's Simpsons' sister's name?
Oh, right, yeah, actually, I know what you mean, yeah. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I watched The Simpsons for years. Since it was on at 6 p.m. after school.
Yeah, I remember that. 6 p.m. wasn't it?
That was about 20 odd years ago, probably.
Just on getting ready, are you ready to become the first female chancellor? And if you are, what should
She's not ready for anything.
What should
Let's see
viewers
what a
expect
non-answer
from
she
Labour in the first couple of weeks in terms of kick-starting this growth agenda that you say you so desperately have to get in order to improve public services? We're going to see a new house building plan before the month is out. What can you give us any idea of what you're going to do in your first few days?
Well, we sought a mandate at this election to grow the economy, and that is what I'm going to get started on doing. Reform of our planning system is clearly essential to build the housing we need, the transport infrastructure, the energy infrastructure. And on a personal level, if I am appointed by Keir Starmer as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, I will be the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yeah, I think that's
and I
nailed on.
see with that both the huge privilege, but also the responsibility to ensure that our economy works for everybody.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? She gave no answer there as to how she's going to do it, what she's going to do.
Who are paid less, earn less than men.
Well, basically, she said she's going to relax planning laws. That's it.
She's talked about gender pay gap, which has been debunked and doesn't exist. It's painful, mate. She's literally an automaton. She can't give any concrete, like anything behind what she's going to do. It's just, oh, we've been given a big mandate now.
In terms of...
And I'll be the first female chancellor, and there's a gender pay gap. It's like, can you fucking hear yourself? Like, you'll be the first female chancellor, there's a gender pay gap. Just nonsense.
To gain trust of the business community, and how much do you want to continue the journey that you've done? Because I personally, from an outside perspective, from an opposition perspective, would say you've probably done more than anybody, including Keir, to change the view of the Labour Party in this country over the last 5 years.
Praise indeed.
Well, we've campaigned as a pro-business and a pro-growth party, and that's how we intend to govern. The partnership
God, I'm
approach
falling asleep with
can
these two.
unlock that private sector investment, which is crucial to improving our productivity and growth performance. So working in partnership with business to ensure that we bring...
She's proper skin suit material. I really dislike her. She obviously, if you can guess where she's from, she's obviously an LSE product. Worked at the Bank of England, as you'd expect, from that kind of swamp creature. So yeah, just she's actually Labour Party candidate in the safe seat of Bromley and Chislehurst, which is funny because I didn't think Bromley and Chislehurst necessarily would have been Labour, but
I'm surprised they haven't had loads more results. It's quite scarce.
Yeah, it's really coming to the slow part for a while, isn't it?
Mm. I was
Do you have a
literally
nap
falling
for-
asleep.
Have a nap for a couple of hours and then get up and stream it again.
Well, I had a little nap during that, like 10, 15 minutes as I'm talking, literally. I had a bit of a nap then.
We thought you had a micro nap. Chat could hear you snoring.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we've got Richmond and Northallerton coming in, have we? Or is it just them talking?
The time of the count aimed for 2 a.m. with that result coming in at 4 a.m. There's 13 candidates standing for this seat, including Rishi Sunak, who currently holds it. He's held this seat since 2015. In 2019, he got 67% of the vote, with over 27,000 of his constituents voting for him. Polls last week were saying that he may well lose his seat, but the odds on from the bookies and from the most recent YouGov poll do say that he will keep this seat here in Richmond and Northallerton.
Well, it would be funny if he lost the seat.
Have arrived.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
We've got the usual candidates that stand in elections like this. So Labour.
It's not out of the realms of possibility, is it?
No.
I mean, their party's pretty much completely collapsed. So,
including the Workers' Party, the Yorkshire Party. We've had the monster raving loony party that have recently turned up. They got a couple of applause. And
monster raving loony party unseats Rishi Sunak and gets a fucking seat in Parliament.
Photo op, isn't it? Nice photo op.
At this stage in the game, mate, I wouldn't be surprised by that sort of thing happening. We went past the point of sanity a while ago, so all bets are off now, aren't they?
Yeah, locally speaking to people here, speaking to the constituents, main concerns.
There's fucking Redditor, King Redditor, unfunny cunt Count Binface with his like paedophile bride that he's got.
Living here, a lot of people have second
His
homes
child
in
bride.
North Yorkshire.
Easy now, easy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Stay in the area. Also issues around the NHS.
Oh, that guy's quite famous, isn't he? In the outfit. What's he called?
Count Binface.
That's it.
Yeah, Count Binface. He's King Redditor.
More issues around the NHS as well, lack of people in the area being able to get a GP appointment, and also concerns around the cost of living as well. So we'll see as those results come in whether Rishi Sunak does keep his seat. But the Labour candidate here has said, don't forget, let's look to the election.
Yeah, I'm struggling to stay awake, mate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to fucking have a little nap soon, I reckon.
And the Conservatives were tipped to win, but it was
wake up in a few hours and see what sort of what things are looking like.
I got a dentist at 10 o'clock.
I
got to travel 20 miles to go to the dentist.
It'll be cancelled now.
No, but it's a strength.
Due to the
all
new
the
Labour
same.
government.
It's a strength all the same, obviously.
Yeah.
Right, okay then, mate. I'm gonna close it down just because I'm literally dropping off here.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
trying to
mate.
stay awake.
I absolutely dig it, mate. I am very tired as well. It's very late.
I'm actually going to keep on listening to it, but I'll be asleep in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, most probably.
That's it, drifted. Well, considering we've done 3 hours, so I think fucking we've had our fun tonight.
But maybe we should have started now rather than starting when we did.
Yeah, well, that's it. But this is the thing; it goes on so long. That's why, like Lotus Eaters, that's why they've got like a bunch of people on there, and they can like take breaks and switch out. And you know what I mean, it's easier than when you do it like a big thing in the studio and if you're just chilling at home, it's.
I normally stay up later than this, but it's just that I can feel myself dropping slowly. Like
You normally stay up later, but it's just in a semi-comatose state, which you can't present the stream in.
So thanks for everyone joining, and cheers, Alex. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
mate.
nice one, Welsh. It's been fun. Cheers, chat.
if you wanted to, we'll do something again in the near future. But thanks everyone for joining us as well. And my regulars, thank you all. Take it easy, everyone. Ta-ra.
Peace, chat. Have a good
Cheers,
one.
mate.
Catch you later, Welshie.
Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot, mate. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. That's good fun. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. Take it easy, bro.
Ta, mate.